Chapter 543. A mere barbaric country wants to leave just like that after slapping China's face. This voice was neither loud nor soft, but every single word was transmitted into everyone's ears, as if it had some sort of magical power. The faces of the people who were initially humiliated and furious froze. They could not help but look in the direction of the voice. They saw Yi Chun walking out from the side while carrying Ming Ming. It's him, the brat who made young master Zhao kneel earlier. Why is he standing out now? Don't tell me he wants those Japanese to kneel too. Everyone could not help but recognize Yi Chun and his daughter when they saw them clearly. Subsequently, they had deep suspicion on their faces. Mr. Yi, Brother Yi, Song Shu Shiwei, and Li Yongmin were stunned at first before they spoke at the same time. The two of them thought that Yi Chun was going to treat the Japanese like how he made young master Zhao kneel earlier. One had to know that these people were different from young master Zhao. Moreover, one of them was the art saint of Japan. The consequences would be unimaginable if they were touched. Meanwhile, Wu Wenshan and the rest looked at Yi Chun. Sato Seiichi and the rest who had just taken a few steps turned around. Kazuhiko, in no way, smirked coldly without any fear. Why? The Chinese can't afford to lose? Is that why you want to attack us? At the same time, the three Japanese young men subconsciously stood in front of Sato Seiichi. The director of Jinling Gallery's expression changed, and he hurriedly berated, "Brat, what are you doing? Step back. This isn't a place for you to behave atrociously. Young man, if you dare to act recklessly today, I really won't be able to protect you." Even Wu Wenshan shouted in a deep voice. It did not matter if China lost. 20 years later, there would be new talents who would go to Japan to regain their dignity. However, China could not make people think that they could not afford to lose. That would be the most embarrassing thing. Mr. Yi, come back now? Song Shu Shiwei was so anxious that she was about to cry. She felt that she had never been as excited as she was today in the 20 years she had lived. First, Yi Chun made Zhao Yuanliang kneel, scaring her to death. Now he was targeting the Japanese. Yi Chun said nothing. Instead, he walked to Sato Seiichi and the rest step by step while carrying Ming Ming. He said extremely coldly, "Just a few of you trash? How dare you say that China is just SOSO?" At this point, he lowered his head to look at the cute little baby in his arms, who had an innocent look on her face, and said in a powerful voice, "Do you believe it? My daughter's scribbles can crush you?" As soon as these words were spoken, the entire place fell silent. Everyone stared at each other with a funny look on their faces. Did we hear it wrong? How dare this kid say that his daughter's work could defeat the young Japanese art saint who defeated Master Wu? Even Sato Seiichi and the other Japanese were stunned for a moment before they burst into laughter. Haha, the Chinese are not capable, but they sure are good at talking. We've learned something new. Sato Seiichi looked at Meng Ming's innocent face. Then he laughed as well. Everyone looked ashamed when they heard this. Song Shu Shiwei wished she could find a hole to hide in. She did not deny that Ming Ming did have talent in painting, and her skill was better than her peers. However, how could she compete with the young art saint of Japan? Sigh, Mr. Yi was bragging too much. She stomped her feet, feeling ashamed. How dare you? A big shot from the Jinling art world was shaking in anger. He glared at Yi Chun angrily. Don't you think we've embarrassed ourselves enough? Leave now. That's right. Even Master Wu lost. What can your daughter, a 4 or 5-year-old girl, do? Go back and learn for another 40 to 50 years. Yi Chun snickered. He glanced at Wu Wenshan and the rest and said rudely, "You guys can't do it. It only means that you guys are a bunch of trash. It doesn't mean that my daughter can't do it." After saying that, he carried Ming Ming to a table at the side. He grabbed a piece of paper and a brush and put his daughter down. He said after putting her down, "Ming Ming, come. Daddy will teach you how to paint today." The little girl raised her head and looked at him with uncertainty. "Daddy, can I really do it?" "Believe in yourself and believe in Daddy." Yi Chun smiled lightly and patted her head dotingly. This young man is crazy. He's really crazy. Everyone was furious, and then they sneered. Wu Wenshan could not help but shake his head. Nonsense, it's pure nonsense. Someone go and stop him. Don't embarrass our country, someone said coldly. Just as he was about to walk over, he heard Sato Seiichi, who had been silent all this while, say with a faint smile, "Forget it. I like to see how a Chinese girl can crush me today." His words were filled with mockery. Everyone could only look at Yi Chun and his daughter furiously. If looks could kill, Yi Chun would have died countless times. After Meng Meng held the brush, she pouted and said, "Daddy, what should I draw?" "Draw whatever you want." Yi Chun held her hand softly. "I want to draw a dragon. Xiaohei told me that its dream is to transform into a dragon. I'll draw a dragon and bring it back. Xiaohei will be very happy to see it. But I don't know how to draw a dragon." "Daddy, what does a dragon look like?" "It's okay. Daddy will teach you how to draw it." The little girl seemed to have thought of something and smiled sweetly. Then she gripped the brush tightly and dipped it into the inkstone. Pada. Perhaps it was because there was too much ink. A large amount of ink dripped onto the drawing paper, completely polluting it. It even splashed onto the little girl's face. Whoosh! Everyone was in an uproar when they saw that. She did not even know how to use a brush. How could she even draw? Song Shu Shue covered her eyes with her hands. She could not bear to watch that. "Daddy." The little girl looked at Yi Chun in fear because of her mistake. "It's okay. Continue." Yi Chun held her little hand tightly and began to draw on the clean part of the paper. First, the dragon head, dragon eyes, dragon whiskers. It was the first time the little girl held a brush. Her hands kept shaking, causing the drawing to be distorted. It looked like a kindergarten child scribbles. A big shot from the Jinling art world said, "Master Wu, hurry up and ask this father and daughter to leave. I can't bear to watch this anymore. We can't afford to lose face." "That's right." The rest nodded. Wu Wenshan frowned. Just as he was about to speak, he suddenly exclaimed and stared at the little girl's drawing. This. He suddenly opened his mouth and said that 3 times in a row. At the same time, Sato Seiichi, who was initially watching the show, had a change of expression as if he had seen something unbelievable. He muttered, "Spirituality, spirituality. This Chinese child's brush and ink actually have spirituality." Everyone looked again, but they still could not see anything special. After Meng Meng finished drawing the dragon's tail, she lowered her head and looked at the ink-stained dragon. She said guiltily, "Daddy, I'm sorry. I didn't draw it well." "No, you drew it well. Aren't you curious about what a dragon looks like? Daddy will let you experience it today." Yi Chun chuckled softly and took the little girl's brush. He pointed the tip of the brush at the eyes of the dragon in the painting. With his stroke of his brush, the dragon in the painting moved violently. It shook its head and wagged its tail. A dragon's roar suddenly rang out. A gust of wind suddenly blew. "What's that sound? What happened?" Everyone was stunned at first, following which the golden dragon suddenly flew out from the drawing paper. Its body grew in the wind and soared into the sky, roaring incessantly. Pitter-patter. Raindrops the size of beans suddenly fell. There was only a blank piece of paper left. There was no ink at all. At this moment, the world suddenly fell into a deathly silence. At this moment, everyone's expressions froze. Chapter 544. Pitter-patter. The wet rain continued to fall. At that moment, hundreds of people in the wetland park opposite Jinling Gallery raised their heads. Their mouths were wide open as they stared blankly at the golden dragon shadow in the sky. The dragon's shadow supported the sky, and the dragon's roar was endless. Dragon. It was not a dragon that existed in myths and legends. It was a real dragon. Dragon eyes, dragon whiskers, dragon scales, all of them could be seen clearly. At that moment, everyone was extremely shocked. They did not expect the dragon in the dragon painting that Yi Chun taught Meng Meng to draw casually would fly out of the painting. It was as if that sentence had been answered. How could a golden scale exist in a painting? It would transform into a dragon as soon as it entered the wind and clouds. It was too shocking. Painting Tao into the soul. Painting Tao into the soul. Art Saint Wu Wenshan stared at the giant dragon that was rolling in the sky, his lips trembling. "This is the true painting Tao into the soul. This is the true painting Tao into the soul. This is the true painting Tao into the soul. If Sato Seiichi's Hell's painting had shocked him greatly earlier, then all that was left for him now was shock. Compared to Sato Seiichi, this was the true painting Tao into the soul. How is this possible? The young Japanese art saint, Sato Seiichi, took 2 steps back in shock, as if he had seen something unbelievable. Song Shushu, Li Yongmin, and the rest rubbed their eyes as if they had seen a ghost. How was this drawn by Mr. Yi? And it's not an illusion? In the entire world, only a skinny figure stood proudly with a 4 or 5-year-old girl in his arms. He was like the golden dragon shadow in the sky, looking down on the world. Daddy, it's a dragon. It's really a dragon. Meng Meng hugged Yi Chen's neck and cheered. So that's what Xiaohei wants to become? It looks so good. If Xiaohei becomes a dragon in the future, I'll ride it to look at the stars and the moon in the sky. No, I don't believe it. Just as everyone was immersed in shock, a hysterical roar pulled them back from their daze. However, Sato Seiichi looked at Yi Chen as if he had been provoked. It's fake. It must be fake. I didn't expect you to use a trick. Western barbarians, how dare you look down on Chinese painting Tao? Yi Chen shook his head lightly as if he was disdainful. Forget it. I'll open your eyes again today. I'll let you know that China's art Tao isn't just that. After saying that, he stretched out his hand and pointed at the golden dragon shadow in the air. The golden dragon shadow in the sky roared again and suddenly turned into a pale golden light. Finally, it turned into a golden door of light that was 10 feet tall and 10 feet long. The next moment, pooh, 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 the calm surface of the lake immediately began to boil. Countless fish leaped out of the water, shaking their heads and wagging their tails on the surface of the water. With a series of crackling sounds, they attempted to leap toward the golden door of light in the sky. From afar, there were close to 1,000 of them. However, they were too far away. No matter how hard they jumped, they couldn't touch the golden door of light in the air. Even so, these fish still tried fearlessly, as if they had been caught in a large net. The scene was spectacular. Daddy, there are so many fish. This is the carp leaping over the dragon gate. This is the carp leaping over the dragon gate. Wu Wenshan cried out involuntarily. The carp leaping over the dragon gate. As a Chinese, they were extremely familiar with this story. It was about the story of a carp transforming into a dragon as long as it crossed the dragon gate. Later on, it was extended to a successful career and a high status. Everyone stared blankly at this scene. Even the art saint, Wu Wenshan, and the big shots of the Jinling art world were no exception. It could be said that they had never seen such a magical scene in their lives. And the cause of this phenomenon was just a painting. It was a painting drawn by a 4 or 5-year-old girl who did not know how to hold a brush. It was a painting that they could not bear to look at. It was like a scribble. Everyone could not help but blush when they thought of this. Especially Wu Wenshan, the so-called master of painting. They could not help but recall how they had gone against their conscience and placed the cute little baby who had the ability to win first place as the consolation prize in order to let the Zhao family's Zhao Yang win first place. Yi Chen wanted an explanation after that. Wu Wenshan relied on his identity as the #1 painter in Jinling to say that he was the one who decided the standard. Whoever he thought would be first would be first. However, the work that the consolation prize winner had casually drawn had reached a level that none of them could reach in their entire lives. It was as if a pair of invisible hands were slapping their faces. It was a resounding slap. I was wrong, I was wrong, I was wrong. Wu Wenshan seemed to be laughing, but at the same time, he seemed to be mocking himself. They were already like that, let alone the Japanese, led by Sato Seiichi. At that moment, the faces of the Japanese were filled with shock. They could not accept the domineering and wanton behavior from before. The painting that the Chinese father and daughter had casually drawn could actually appear, and it had even attracted thousands of fish. Was this the hidden painting expert of China? The young art saint, Sato Seiichi, looked defeated. He became famous at the age of 10 and was known as the painting prodigy of Japan. Later on, He defeated the Japanese art saint, Ishikawa Ichiro, at a young age. It could be said that his journey had been filled with praise and flowers. Therefore, he stepped into China resolutely and wanted to challenge the Chinese art Dao experts. After Art Saint Wu Wenshan admitted defeat, he thought that the Chinese art Dao was just so and was very disappointed. Unexpectedly, an ordinary father and daughter appeared. They were not as famous as Wu Wenshan. However, they crushed his confidence to the point that there was nothing left. He could not help but smile bitterly. China is really full of talents. At that moment, countless people's eyes were focused on the father and daughter. The world was silent. Only the father and daughter were bathing in the breeze, facing the rainbow. Meanwhile, there were still countless fish jumping on the lake in front of them, trying to jump over the light door. "Daddy, those fish are so stupid. They can't reach that door no matter what. Dad, please help them." The little girl's childish voice echoed through the world. Yichen lifted his head to look at the lake. Subsequently, he lifted his hand and waved. The light door in the sky turned into a golden dragon shadow and returned to the drawing paper. It turned into a painting again. In the end, what he drew was still a painting. It was not a real dragon. Similarly, the Dragon Gate was just an illusion, not the real Dragon Gate. As the light door dissipated, the lake returned to calmness. The surface of the lake regained its calm. Countless fish returned to the bottom of the lake in disappointment, and all of them entered hibernation. However, a golden carp shook its tail and leaped into Meng's palm. It kept rolling around and spitting bubbles from its mouth. There was no fear at all. "Daddy, it's a carp. It's not afraid of me." Meng widened her eyes as she looked at the golden carp in her palm. Her little face was filled with joy. Chapter 545. "You beast, you're quite intelligent. You know that your daughter and I are extraordinary, so you want to ask for some good fortune." Yichen could not help but laugh. A medicinal pill shot into its mouth quickly. Subsequently, he said, "I've given you the benefits. Whether you can succeed or not depends on your fortune. If we meet again one day, I, Yi Chun, will personally enlighten you and help you leap through the Real Dragon Gate." So what? No one knew if the golden carp understood what he said, but it shook its tail and leaped into the lake again. It disappeared in a few moments. "Daddy, why did it run away?" The little girl could not take it anymore. She tugged Yi Chen's sleeve and shouted, "Daddy, catch it for me now. I'll bring it back and keep it in a fish tank. If it's fated, you guys will meet again in 50 years. Yi Chen shook his head, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. He then turned around and lifted his head to look at Sato Seiichi and the rest. His expression returned to its previous indifference. Don't judge China by one person. There are countless talents in China. It's not something that a mere overseas barbarian like you can imagine. Who exactly are you, sir? Sato Seiichi looked defeated, no longer as arrogant as before. However, he was unwilling to accept it. He did not believe that he had lost to an ordinary person. He would rather believe that Yi Chun was an art expert who was more powerful than Wu Wenshan. "I'm just the father of a child." Yi Chun hugged his daughter tightly and smiled lightly. Sato Seiichi's body shook slightly when he said that. That was right. No matter how powerful his identity was, how could it compare to the words the child's father that were more engraved in people's hearts? He forced a smile and walked to Yi Chun quickly. He bowed deeply and said in admiration, "I, Sato, have lost today. Thank you for showing me that art Dao can reach such a level." At this point, he bowed deeply and bowed to the extreme. "Please accept me as your disciple. I'm willing to follow you as your disciple." The expressions of Kazuhiko, Inoue, and the rest behind him changed. They hurriedly said, "Mr. Sato." They had never expected Sato Seiichi to undergo such a huge change. Before this, they had even ridiculed China for having no capable people, belittling them to the extreme. Now, not only had Sato, whom they had relied on, been defeated, but he even wanted to worship a Chinese person as his master. Wasn't this a slap to their faces? Even Wu Wenshan and the rest of the Chinese people were shocked. Sato Seiichi was the art saint of Japan. The art saint was willing to become someone else's disciple. Shut up, Sato Seiichi shouted coldly, and looked at Yi Chun in anticipation. Get lost. Yi Chun shook his head lightly. I won't accept disciples, let alone people from Japan. Sato could only force a smile when he heard that. He bowed to Yi Chun again and turned around to leave without looking back. If I hear that you dare to insult China again, even if we're across the ocean, I, Yi Chun, will come to Japan with my sword and kill all the cherry blossoms on the mountain to make wine. A seemingly calm, yet heart-palpitating voice rang out. Sato Seiichi stopped in his tracks. Kazuhiko Inoue and the other Japanese were furious. However, they did not dare to flare up and left in a huff, because they had lost. Watching them leave, all the Chinese people at the scene were excited, and they felt extremely elated, because China had won. This was more satisfying than anything else. Clap, clap, clap. No one knew who started clapping, but everyone else followed suit. The thunderous applause lingered in the air for a long time. At that moment, everyone looked at Yi Chun and his daughter again. Their eyes were filled with admiration, passion, shame, and self-blame. When Sato Seiichi defeated the art saint, Wu Wenshan, and the Japanese said that China was nothing, everyone was humiliated and furious. It was the father and daughter who stood up to protect China's dignity. It was also the father and daughter who casually drew that allowed everyone to witness the true art Tao. It was the father and daughter who ruthlessly defeated the proud Japanese art saint and protected China's dignity. Song Shushue's hands were numb from clapping. She walked to Yi Chun's side with a flushed face after the applause ended. She said with admiration on her face, Mr. Yi, why you're amazing. Before this, she thought that Yi Chun would be reckless and get into trouble. Never did she expect him to prove himself with his abilities in the blink of an eye. Ms. Tsang, I'm very powerful too, all right? Meng Meng pouted her lips and said unhappily, that dragon was drawn by Daddy and me. Yes, you're powerful, all right? Song Shushue snickered. But your daddy is more powerful. The little girl immediately revealed a vigilant expression when she heard that. She snorted coldly and said, Ms. Tsang, I'm telling you that my daddy has a wife. You can't like him. Cough, cough, cough. Tsang Shushue was caught off guard and almost choked to death. She glared at her fiercely with a red face. Little rascal, what are you talking about? I'm telling the truth. The little girl said seriously, there are many sisters who like my daddy. You're not the only one. For example, Ms. O's sister Sun Serong, and shut up. Seeing that she was counting with her fingers, Yi Chun could not help but cough and stop her immediately, even though he was thick-skinned. If these words were to reach the great beauty Sue's ears, when he returned, he would have to give her an explanation. Li Yomin pulled the little fatty over and said in admiration, Brother Yi, good job. I didn't misjudge you. Nonsense. The little fatty, Li Ergua, could not help but mutter, I wonder who was the one who kept saying, Brother Yi, I'm dead because of you. Brother Yi, I'm dead because of you. Li Yongmin's face immediately became a little embarrassed, and he wished that he could slap this little bastard to death who betrayed him. Qian Qian also ran over and said to Meng Meng in admiration, Sister Meng Meng, you're so amazing. As they were talking, Wu Wenshan walked over with the big shots from the Jinling art world. He bowed deeply to Yi Chun. Mr. Yi, thank you for protecting China's dignity. How can I be worthy of such a big shot's greeting? Yi Chun's expression was cold, and he was very cold. Wu Wenshan forced a smile and bowed deeply again. He said in guilt, Mr. Yi, I failed to recognize you earlier and neglected you and your daughter. I hereby apologize to you. Don't worry, we will definitely give you an explanation. That's right, that's right. We have to give you an explanation. The people behind him nodded repeatedly. What a joke. There were so many people watching. A winner of the Excellence Award had defeated the Japanese art saint. If word got out, not only would they be laughed at, but they would also be torn apart by the angry netizens. Yi Chun nodded, and his expression eased up a little. At that moment, a middle-aged man with a big belly who was dressed like a wealthy businessman squeezed out of the crowd with great difficulty. The man looked at Yi Chun's painting earlier with a burning desire on his face. He rubbed his hands and said, Mr. Yi, I wonder if you can part with this painting of yours. P.S. There's still one more chapter. 6 chapters have been blocked, so the chapter order has been messed up. It's not that I'm republishing the old chapter. Please forgive me. Chapter 546. The middle-aged businessman's words immediately attracted everyone's attention. Countless eyes looked at the brush drawing on the table. The drawing on it was the dragon that Yi Chun had taught Meng Meng to draw earlier. They saw with their own eyes the appearance of the dragon in the painting. It flew into the sky and transformed into a dragon gate, attracting tens of thousands of fishes. It could be said that this was a peerless masterpiece. For a moment, countless people's eyes were burning with passion. Mr. Yi, I'm the chairman of Wan Feng Group, Wan Guahao. The middle-aged wealthy businessman was afraid that Yi Chun would not agree to it, so he proceeded to say, if you're willing to part with it, I'm willing to pay $100 million to buy this painting of yours. As soon as these words were spoken, everyone burst into an uproar. Spending $100 million just to buy a painting? Did he have too much money but nowhere to spend it? Many people gasped at first, thinking that Wan Guahao had gone mad, but then they came to their senses. Zhang Daqian's paintings could be auctioned for close to 200 million HNY, and the painting in front of him was even more magical. It was normal for it to be worth $100 million, right? Even Wu Wenshan was shocked, because the highest auction price of his works was only about 80 million yuan. Without waiting for the crowd to react, another luxuriously dressed middle-aged woman stood out and said with a smile, Mr. Yi, I am Hua Anna from the embroidery group. I am willing to pay $150 million to buy your painting. I'm Lu Ji from Tianyuan Group. I'm willing to pay $200 million. I'm willing to pay $250 million. Don't fight with me. I'll F***king fight whoever fights with me. At that moment, countless bosses fought to offer a price to buy Yi Chen's painting. They looked like street vendors at the market, completely losing their image. Upon seeing that, Song Shu Shue and Li Yongmin were completely stunned. They had never expected that a painting would be sold at a sky-high price of more than $200 million, and it was in US dollars. If converted into HNY, that would be more than $1 billion. At that moment, Wu Wenshan, who had been silent all this while, suddenly said, Mr. Yi, I'm willing to exchange all my assets for this painting of yours. As his voice fell, the scene was dead silent. Everyone's eyes were filled with disbelief. I thought I heard wrongly. The art saint, Wu Wenshan, was willing to exchange his entire fortune for a painting? How much property did Wu Wenshan have? No one knew, but any of his paintings could be sold at a sky-high price of 70 to 80 million. Facing everyone's shock, Wu Wenshan's expression remained the same. Instead, he looked at Yi Chun rather nervously, afraid that Yi Chun would reject him. He had been studying painting all his life. After what happened earlier, he realized that he might have some achievements, but he was still far away from the end of the art Tao. Therefore, in order to seek a breakthrough, he was willing to give up everything he had as long as Yi Chun was interested in it, let alone all his assets. At that moment, countless eyes were on Yi Chun. With such conditions from Wu Wenshan, no one would reject it, right? Song Shu Shue could not stop pulling the corner of Yi Chen's shirt, signaling him to agree. Yi Chen smiled calmly as the people stared at him. It's useless to ask me. My daughter drew this, so I'll have to ask for her opinion. Wu Wenshan's face twitched slightly, but he still looked at the cute little girl in Yi Chen's embrace. He looked like a child asking for candy. The little fellow widened her eyes and said in a daze, Daddy, are they going to buy our paintings? That's right, my dear daughter. Your paintings are worth a lot of money now. Yi Chun smiled warmly, his eyes filled with love. Song Shu Shue reminded softly, Meng Meng, agree now. Even little Fatty winked at her from time to time. However, after the little girl blinked, she suddenly pouted and said, No, I don't want to sell it. Everyone almost fell to the ground. Then they heard the little girl mumble, This is a painting that Daddy and I drew together. It's very precious. Moreover, I don't lack money. Mommy runs a company, and Daddy even gave me a company. You old men are so bad. You bullied Daddy and me earlier, and now you want to bully me for being stupid. Also, I drew this for Xiaohei. I want to bring it back to show it. It'll definitely be very happy. Everyone was speechless. Had the father and daughter gone mad? Master Wu was worth at least 1 billion. They actually rejected him. Wu and Shan refused. Who's Xiaohei? It's just a snake. Yichen smiled lightly. Wu and Shan was speechless. In the end, he could only sigh softly. Forget it. It seems like I'm not fated to have such a treasure. He seemed to have thought of something as he spoke to this point. He looked at Yi Chun and said, Mr. Yi, to express my apology, I'll re-rank your daughter's competition after we return. She'll definitely win first place. Master Wu, the Zhao family. Someone hesitated. After all, he had already promised to give first place to the Zhao family. If he made any changes now, wouldn't it be a slap to the Zhao family's face? Wu and Shan looked fearful. I'll explain to the Zhao family later. That's for the best. I'll go back with you guys. Yichen looked satisfied. He brought his daughter here to get first place this time. The reason why he caused such a huge commotion was for his daughter. Naturally, he would not give up halfway. Unexpectedly, Wu Wanshan's expression changed as soon as he finished speaking. No, Mr. Yi, you can't go back with us. You asked Zhao Yuanliang to kneel earlier. The Zhao family must be on their way. You should leave now. That's right, Mr. Yi. The Zhao family is a wealthy family in Jinling, and they have some connections in Beijing. Even Master Wu has to be wary of them. A big shot from the Jinling art world said, You made Zhao Yuanliang kneel earlier, which is equivalent to slapping the Zhao family in the face. The Zhao family will definitely not let this go. You guys go back first. We'll send you the award later. That's right, Mr. Yi. Let's go back first. Song Shuxue and Li Yongmin started persuading him too. However, Yi Chan smiled lightly. This person ignored the rules of the competition and offended me. It's only right for me to teach him a lesson. So what if the Zhao family is unhappy? I don't care about a mere Zhao family. Wu and Shan wanted to persuade him again. Mr. Yi, all right, I'd like to see how terrifying this Zhao family is. Yi Chun interrupted him. He carried his daughter and turned around to walk to Jinling Gallery. Sigh, Mr. Yi is too confident. The Zhao family's power is beyond his imagination. Wu and Shan sighed. Li Yongmin said nervously, Master Wu, what do we do now? What else can we do? Wu and Shan shook his head and forced a smile. Mr. Yi is unwilling to leave. I can only do this myself. I hope that the Zhao family can turn a big problem into a small one for my sake. At the same time, in Jinling Gallery, the Zhao family's second young master, Zhao Yuanliang, was still in the same position as when Yichen left. He was sprawled on the ground. Someone tried to help him up, but he realized that he could not do anything no matter how hard he tried. It was as if he was rooted to the ground. This damn brat, what the hell did he do to me? Zhao Yuanliang's face was filled with resentment. He could not wait to tear Yichen into pieces. Subsequently, he looked at his nephew, Zhao Yang, who was next to him. Xiaoyang, what did the family say? Second uncle. First uncle is already on his way. He said he'll be here in half an hour. The 7-year-old Zhao Yang said, still in shock. 20 minutes have passed. My brother should be here soon. Zhao Yunliang's face immediately revealed a smug expression. Damn brat, just you wait. My brother is here. When the time comes, I'll let you know what it means to wish for death. He knew his brother very well. He couldn't understand him better. Although he looked like a spring breeze on the outside, he was the most shrewd in the entire Zhao family. He was also the best at hiding. Even he, the devil incarnate, felt like there was a thorn in his back when he faced his eldest brother. Second uncle, you must kill that idiot. A ruthless glint flashed across the 7-year-old Zhao Yang's eyes. And that little girl, I want to use her as a target to throw darts at. All right, we'll torture them one by one. Zhao Yuanliang grinned sinisterly. Just as they were talking, a person rushed in from outside. As he walked, he shouted, Young Master Zhao and Master Wu and the others are back. That brat is back too. Zhao Yuanliang was so excited that he almost shouted, Ha ha, there's a way out for you, but you chose to barge into hell instead. Chapter 547. on the first floor of the Jinling Gallery. "Brat, my big brother is already on his way. I'll give you one more chance. Let me go immediately and kneel down to apologize to me. Maybe I'll spare your life." Zhao Yuanliang could not hide the smugness on his face when he saw that Yi Chun had really returned with Wu Wenshan. To him, Yi Chun might look a little panicked when he heard that. However, he did not expect Yi Chun to sit aside while carrying the child. He only cared about feeding the two children as if he did not hear what he said. Bastard! He was so angry that he almost fainted. Yi Chun could ignore what he said, but the others could not. Especially when they heard that the Zhao family's eldest young master was on his way. The entire hall was in an uproar. What? The Zhao family's eldest young master is here too? TSK, that's a tough one. I didn't expect him to come personally. Doesn't this mean that the Zhao family is really enraged? Things have really gotten out of hand this time. Everyone was stunned by Zhao Yuanliang's words. Zhao Yuming, the head of the Zhao family in Jinling, had two sons. Zhao Yuanliang was the youngest, and he had been left in the Zhao family since he was young. He was a true spoiled brat. The reason why everyone was afraid of him was because of the Zhao family. As for Zhao Yuming's eldest son, Zhao Junshun, even if he was not the eldest son of the Zhao family, no one in Jinling would not be afraid of him. It was because Zhao Junshun was the soul of the Zhao family. 15 years ago, Zhao Yuming was not the head of the Zhao family yet. His words carried little weight in the Zhao family, and he was ostracized by the first branch. However, in just 3 years, not only did Zhao Yuming get rid of the first and third branches of the Zhao family, he was even promoted to the head of the Zhao family. All of this was related to Zhao Junshun. Rumor had it that when Zhao Junshun was 3 years old, he was abandoned overseas because of internal strife in the Zhao family. Everyone thought that he was dead, but they did not expect that Zhao Junshun would return safely 16 years later. Not only did he bring with him amazing martial arts skills, he even conquered half of the Middle East at the age of 16. At such a young age, he had subdued a group of black mercenaries who killed without batting an eye. Zhao Yuming had also become the head of the Zhao family with Zhao Junshun's help. Compared to Zhao Yuanliang, Zhao Junshun could be considered a true talent. It could be said that in the entire circle of wealthy families in Jinling, no matter which family they were from, no matter how powerful their family background was, they had to obediently address Zhao Junshun as Brother Chun. Therefore, after hearing Zhao Yuanliang's words, everyone's reaction was huge. Even Art Saint Wu Wenshan was no exception. He took a deep breath and walked to Zhao Yuanliang. "Yuanliang, this is just a small misunderstanding. Why do you have to make such a big deal out of it?" If the head of his Zhao family, Zhao Yuming, came in person, he could still plead on Yi Chen's behalf. After all, Zhao Yuming's biological father had been imprisoned in a kiln back then. He, Wu Wenshan, had exchanged a painting for him. Wu Wenshan knew very well that everyone in the Zhao family could give him face, but Zhao Junshun was an exception. That was because Zhao Junshun did not grow up in the Zhao family. He did not have a strong sense of family and did not have much contact with Wu Wenshan. Zhao Yuanliang smirked coldly at his words. "Uncle Wu, if you were slapped and knelt on the ground like a dead dog for half an hour, would you think it was a misunderstanding?" Wu Wenshan's lips moved slightly. Zhao Yuanliang glared at Yi Chun viciously as he spoke to this point. "Moreover, I've already given that brat a chance. He didn't cherish it. Don't blame me for that." Wu Wenshan could only look at Yi Chun. "Mr. Yi, look. To him, Yi Chun should let go of Zhao Yuanliang now and apologize. There might still be a chance for things to be resolved. Brother Yi, now is not the time to fight. We can't afford to offend the Zhao family. Let's take a step back." Li Yongmin was so anxious that he did not know what to say. However, Yi Chun did not seem to listen to him. He smiled in disdain after feeding Mingming a chip in her mouth. "Zhao family? It might be unreachable to you, but to me, it's just a matter of stepping on it." Those who knew him knew how confident he was. Since Yi Chen's debut until now, he had no idea how many experts like Yuan Bupo had died in his hands. Even the wealthy Su family of Beijing and the Shun and Lei families of Hong Kong had been destroyed by him. Even without those, he could even suppress the huge Korea with one hand. What was a mere Zhao family of Jinling to him? However, no one present knew about his legend. Therefore, when they heard his words, they immediately became excited. They thought that they had heard wrongly. I think this brat is crazy. He's really crazy. Now that things have come to this, does he still think that Master Wu can protect him? Master Wu aside, even the other wealthy families in Jinling don't have the ability to withstand the Zhao family's anger. I used to like his painting, but now it seems like he's just an arrogant and brainless guy. Countless people shook their heads and sighed as if they could see Yi Chen's outcome. Brother Yi, I really can't help you now. Li Yongmin secretly shook his head and said in disappointment, he's still too young. He doesn't know what a wealthy family is. Although his painting skills are not bad, he's not even comparable to an ant in their eyes. I shouldn't have brought Mr. Yi here. Song Shushu bit her lip and nodded in agreement. She was filled with regret. Yi Chen's stubbornness destroyed the last glimmer of hope in Wu Wenshan's heart. He sighed softly. Mr. Yi, I was negligent earlier. I wanted to help you, but you didn't listen. There will be one less painter in China. Sigh, what a pity. At the same time, in a Bentley less than 5 kilometers away from Jinling Gallery, Zhao Junshun, who was dressed in casual clothes, drove at a moderate pace. Zhao Junshun, who was dressed in casual clothes, drove at a moderate speed. Even if someone ran a red light on the road, he would still stop the car patiently. He was not in a hurry. The girl in black who was sitting in the passenger seat would turn her head to size him up from time to time. Surprise would appear on her pretty face from time to time. Sister Rulin, why do you keep looking at me? Don't tell me you've fallen for me? Zhao Junshun smiled as he drove. Who's fallen for you? I like Brother Wu Shuang. The girl in black spat angrily and said, I've been observing you along the way and realized that you're completely different from your younger brother, Zhao Yuanliang. They don't seem like biological brothers. Why? Zhao Junshun's smile did not fade. The girl in black pursed her lips. His younger brother, Zhao Yuanliang, is a lawless, hedonistic son. This biological brother, who shares the same mother as him, is also a disciple of the Zhao family. However, he doesn't have any of the bad habits of a wealthy family. Chapter 548. For example, there was an old man crossing the road by the roadside just now. If it was your brother, Zhao Yuanliang, he would have honked and cursed. He might even have driven the car over. At this point, disgust flashed through her eyes, and she continued, but it's different. He didn't curse or honk. Instead, he stopped the car and waited patiently for the old man to cross the road before starting the car. Isn't that what everyone should do? Zhao Junshun smiled. The children of wealthy families are also humans and Chinese citizens. They're no different from ordinary people. Everyone is equal in front of the traffic laws. No. I've seen too many children from wealthy families. They don't have this awareness. They might look humble on the surface, but deep down, they still feel that they're superior to others. The girl in black shook her head repeatedly. Zhao Junshun seemed to be reminiscing as he said, if I grew up in the Middle East, I would also have this awareness. In the face of death, I would not differentiate between rich and poor. I'm very curious. What did you experience in the Middle East? The girl in black widened her eyes curiously. Zhao Junshun shook his head slightly, unwilling to talk about it. The girl in black hesitated for a moment, but she could not help but say weakly, I heard that it's very chaotic there. People die every day. Have you killed anyone? Yes. Zhao Junshun admitted openly. The first time I killed someone was when I was 7 years old. At that time, I wasn't even as tall as a gun. The other party was a black man who was in charge of repairing the tank tracks. He often slapped my head and called me a dwarf. He even stole my food. One night, that guy raped a white woman on the bed. I snuck in with a tank repair wrench and hit the back of his head with the wrench. He's dead. He didn't even struggle. Blood splattered all over my face. I didn't feel afraid. Instead, I felt very excited. I licked my lips. For the first time, I knew that blood was hot, fishy, and sticky. He spoke as he drove. There was no expression on his face, as if he was describing how he had killed a chicken before. On the other hand, the girl in black felt her scalp go numb. Zhao Junshun continued. Then I killed that white woman. Why? She didn't bully you, did she? The girl in black blurted out subconsciously. Yes, she didn't bully me. Zhao Junshun was still smiling. But if she doesn't die, she'll tell others about me killing the black man sooner or later, so she has to die. But it was still exposed in the end. Then how did he survive? The black-clothed girl couldn't help but put herself in his shoes. After the leader found out that I was the killer, he called me out alone, pointed a gun at me, and asked me how I wanted to die. At this point, he paused for a moment. I told the chief that if I could kill one adult black man, then I could kill 2, 3, and more. I could also repair tanks. The leader laughed and put away his gun. He patted me on the shoulder and said that I could follow him from now on. I was very excited at the time, but when I returned, I was locked in a room with a group of black men. They were all friends of the black man I had killed earlier. And then you were beaten up by them? The girl in black could not help but become nervous. That night, I was beaten up by them for half the night. These people didn't dare to kill me because they all knew I was the leader's man, so I was able to keep my life. In the second half of the night, while everyone was asleep, I forced myself to take a toothbrush and walk to the bed of the leader of the group of black men. I used all my strength to stab him in the chest, huh? The girl in black exclaimed in shock. After that, I became the leader of the 20 black men in the dormitory. I was only 7 years old at that time. I also knew that the reason why the leader asked me to follow him and lock me up to be bullied was to warn me and make me submit to him. I just can't accept it. When I was 9 years old, the leader died in my hands, and I became the leader of a team of 500 mercenaries. Too ruthless. The girl in black was so shocked that she could not even speak properly. Then, she leaned away in fear, as if she did not dare to get too close to him. Zhao Junshun's experience was simply too shocking. An ordinary 7-year-old child would still be reading ABCD or rolling around on the ground in open crotch pants. However, Zhao Junshun was already dealing with a group of desperados at the age of 7. Yes, I don't deny that I'm ruthless. Zhao Junshun was not angry at all. Instead, he smiled. So, do you still think that I'm better than my brother, Zhao Yuan? My brother is so afraid of me that he hides far away when he sees me. The 2 Zhao brothers are lunatics. The girl in black was terrified. No. Zhao Junshun shook his head slightly and said, My brother isn't a lunatic. I'm the lunatic. Actually, I think he's quite compatible with my brother. If I can get together with him, I can restrain him. I won't like him even if I'm a bachelor for the rest of my life. The girl in black widened her eyes. I've always liked Brother Wushuang. Compared to him, Zhao Yuanliang is far inferior. He's not even worthy of carrying his shoes for him. I've been talking about Brother Wushuang all the time. Who exactly is this Brother Wushuang? Zhao Junshun's interest was piqued. He's not human. The girl in black was furious. To be precise, he doesn't seem like a human. He's more like a cold piece of metal. He can't warm up no matter how hard I try. I've been chasing after him for a month, but he only said 3 sentences to me. What a strange person. Zhao Junshun could not help but laugh. Then why do you still like him? Because he's handsome. The lady in black held her chin with her hand, as if she was reminiscing. I've seen many of those Korean idols and national idols. They're just a bunch of sissies. Brother Wushuang is more handsome and has more charisma than them. Most importantly, Brother Wushuang's martial arts skills are very high. Think about it. Who would let go of such a good-looking and martial arts boyfriend? If I manage to woo him and bring him out in the future, I'll definitely be very proud. The number of people turning their heads, seeing her infatuated look, a glint flashed across Zhao Junshun's eyes. Is this person in Jinling now? If there's a chance, you can introduce him to me. No. The girl in black's face fell. Brother Wushuang has returned to Beijing to reunite with his master. That blockhead hasn't called me even after more than 2 months. If I have the chance, I'll definitely go to Beijing and scold him to death. Master? Zhao Junshun was confused. Yes, master. The girl in black mumbled. His master is the number 1 on the heaven leaderboard. Mad Southern. The moment that was said, Zhao Junshun's hand that was driving trembled. His calm face finally changed. Mad Southern? Is he the #1 person in China? Mad Southern Yi? P.S. Chapter 2, there's one more chapter. Chapter 549. Mad Southern Yi. Regarding this name, Zhao Junshin could not be more familiar with it. He was a ruthless person who could suppress an entire country by himself. Eh, the girl in black exclaimed and looked at him in surprise. You've heard of his name? How can I not have heard of Mad Southern Yi? Zhao Junshin took a deep breath in, and his expression was a little solemn. It's not an exaggeration to say that he's well known. Putting aside the fact that he killed many martial Dao masters like Yuan Bupo, just the commotion he's caused in Korea recently is shocking enough. Mad Southern Yi killed his way into the Park family of Korea and made them submit. Then, he killed Kim Tiansheng, the patriarch of the Kim family, causing the #1 person in Korea, Inshur, to appear. Even someone as powerful as Inshur, who could leave his body with his primordial spirit, could not do anything to him. All of these achievements had already spread throughout Hua Nation. Even the Zhao family was no exception. The head of the Zhao family, Zhao Yuming, had even instructed them. The Zhao family could not afford to offend someone like Mad Southern Yi. Instead, they had to befriend him at all costs. Has he become so powerful now? The girl in black did not expect Zhao Junshin's reaction to be so huge. For a moment, she was a little unhappy. It's all this guy's fault for kidnapping my brother Wu Shuang. He even said that he would bring brother Wu Shuang to Jinling to see me. In the end, there's still no news after 2 months. Liar, big liar. Did you say that brother Wu Shuang called Mad Southern Yi master? Zhao Junshin's eyes flickered after he finally calmed down. That's right. The girl in black nodded. I don't know why brother Wu Shuang called you master either. Is it because Mad Southern Yi is stronger than brother Wu Shuang? Forget it. Let's not talk about him. It's disappointing. Seeing that the car was about to arrive, the girl in black rolled her eyes and changed the topic. Brother Zhao Yuanliang was bullied. How do you plan to deal with that unlucky guy? Zhao Junshin's expression slowly darkened. My brother is insensible. He offended someone outside and was taught a lesson. The Zhao family will definitely not do anything. But someone asked him to kneel. This is equivalent to slapping our Zhao family in the face. If we let him off so easily, how can we establish ourselves in Jinling in the future? At this point, his seemingly calm face was brewing an endless chill. I like to see who dares to slap my Zhao family in the face. The lady in black secretly shook her head when she saw that. She could not help but worry for Yi Chun. Why did he have to hit that B** star Zhao Yuanliang? Not only did he hit him, he even made him kneel. Now, even the gods can't save him. Jinling Art Gallery. Countless people were speechless as they stared at the thin figure in the middle of the hall in astonishment. It was as if he had not expected the storm to come, and he was calmly feeding his daughter. I wonder if he's faking it or if he's really fearless. Someone thought to himself, if this kid doesn't die, he will definitely become a big shot in the future. Wu Wenshan had a complicated look in his eyes. Yichen did not seem to notice everyone's gazes. He lifted his head to look at Wu Wenshan after feeding his daughter the last chip. He was slightly impatient. When can I get my daughter's certificate? Just as Wu Wenshan was about to speak, Zhao Yuanliang, who was kneeling on the ground, could not help but ask, what certificate? It was the scene of Yi Chun competing with Japanese Sato Seiichi. He did not follow them to watch, so he did not know what had happened. He did not know that Wu Wenshan had decided to give his nephew's first prize to Meng Meng. A young man smiled and said maliciously, Young Master Zhao, I wonder if Master Wu's decided to take back his nephew's first prize for the painting competition and give it to this brat's daughter. Zhao Yuanliang's expression changed when he heard that. He looked at Wu Wenshan as if he had been humiliated. Uncle Wu? Is what he said true? Yuanliang, it's not what you think. Wu Wenshan sighed softly and said, Mr. Ye's daughter defeated the Japanese's young art saint with a random doodle. Her painting skills are enough for her to be awarded first prize in this competition. So I thought, so you want to give what's already ours to this brat and his daughter? Zhao Yuanliang smirked coldly and interrupted him. Uncle Wu, are you looking down on the Zhao family? If news of this were to spread, The Zhao family would definitely be laughed at. Yuan Liang, I've thought of a compromise. The first prize will go to Mr. Ye's daughter. Of course, I'll keep my promise and accept his nephew, Zhao Yang, as my disciple. This is a happy ending. Wu and Shan wanted to say something, but hesitated. Happy ending? Zhao Yuanliang smirked coldly and looked at Meng Meng in disdain. This little girl can defeat the Japanese's young art saint? Do you think I'm an idiot? Even if it's true, I won't agree to it. Pa! Suddenly, a loud voice rang out. Zhao Yuanliang screamed as he was sent flying. He rolled on the ground for more than 10 meters before hitting the wall. When he turned his head, he looked at Yi Chun resentfully while covering his swollen face. Brat, how dare you hit me? The people around them could not close their mouths from shock. Yi Chun still dared to attack Zhao Yuanliang at a time like this? If you say another word, I'll kill you. Do you believe me? Yi Chun retracted his hand slowly and said extremely coldly, My daughter is a genius. She's not some silly girl. As soon as he said that, Zhao Yuanliang's expression changed drastically. His words were emotionless, as if he was describing a very ordinary matter. However, everyone in the hall could not help but shiver. They felt like they had fallen into an ice cellar. Zhao Yuanliang's face flushed. He could not wait to charge forward and die with Yi Chun. However, his heart skipped a beat when he met Yi Chun's cold gaze. At that moment, a man walked in quickly and said excitedly, Second young master, first young master is here. The moment that was said, the entire hall fell into dead silence. First young master Zhao. So is finally here. Great, great. Zhao Yuanliang suddenly let out an extremely proud laughter. My big brother is here. Brat, you're dead, you're dead. Li Yongmin and Song Shushua's expressions changed. What's going to happen has finally happened. Wu Wenshan sighed to himself. At the next moment, following the sound of footsteps, a tall young man in casual clothes walked in slowly. The young man was not considered handsome, but he carried an inexplicable pressure that made people not dare to look him in the eye. Behind him was a young girl in black. The young man walked at a speed that was neither fast nor slow, but every single step he took seemed to step on the hearts of everyone present, causing their breathing to become hurried. Brother, you're finally here. Zhao Yuanliang looked like he had seen his savior. Subsequently, he turned his head to look at Yi Chun and said fiercely, Big brother, this is the brat who made me kneel. Yes, first uncle, it's him. Second uncle was beaten so badly by him. You must avenge us. The 7-year-old, Zhao Yang sneered. Zhao Junshin nodded lightly and lifted his head to look at Yi Chun. Shock flashed through his eyes. Subsequently, he said expressionlessly, I'm Zhao Junshin of the Zhao family. May I ask why you humiliated my brother? Do you know that Yuan Liang is a member of the Zhao clan? As his voice fell, everyone's heart skipped a beat. No reason, I just don't like him. Yi Chun took out a tissue and wiped the corner of Meng's mouth. He said without even lifting his head, As for the Zhao family, what the hell was that? You don't have the qualifications to talk to me. Ask the master to come here personally. As soon as these words came out, the crowd was in an uproar, and they secretly shook their heads. It's over. This kid was completely finished. As expected, Zhao Junshin was so angry that he laughed and said, You're actually so arrogant. I'm curious who you are. Before he could finish, a beautiful figure leaped out from behind him. Subsequently, she ran to Yi Chun quickly. I can't believe it's this big liar. Big liar, return my brother Wu Shuang to me. Return my brother Wu Shuang to me. P.S. Chapter 3. Today's update is over. Thank you for your support. Please vote. Chapter 550. Liar, you big liar. Return my brother Wu Shuang to me. As everyone watched with their mouths agape, they saw the lady in black rush to Yi Chun with her hands on her hips, looking angry. It's the young miss of the Ning family, Ning Ruolin. Why is she here? Also, what was going on? It seems like she knows that Yi brat. What's going on? This sudden scene caused everyone to be taken aback. Initially, everyone thought that Yi Chun would definitely die with the appearance of the Zhao family's eldest young master, Zhao Junshin. Never did they expect the eldest young mistress of the Ning family to suddenly appear. As for the black-clothed girl in front of him, no one present dared to underestimate him. This was because she was the young mistress of the Ning family, a wealthy family in Jinling, and the only daughter of the head of the Ning family, Ning Ziyuan. It was not an exaggeration to describe her as the apple of his eye. The Ning family status in Jinling was no less than that of the Zhao family. Looks like that you brat seems to have offended Miss Ning too. Not only did he offend the Zhao family, he even offended the Ning family. This guy is finished. Seeing that Ning Rulin was almost pointing at Yi Chen's nose and scolding him, many people's eyes flickered nonstop. They were secretly gloating. The two brothers of the Zhao family were the most surprised. Zhao Junshin's eyes flickered a few times, and he was about to ask. Zhao Yuanliang, who was kneeling on the ground, subconsciously said, "Sister Rulin, you know this guy too? Did he bully you? Don't worry, he's dead for sure today." He also thought that there was enmity between Yi Chun and Ning Rulin. Therefore, he wanted to use this matter to please Ning Rulin. Shut up. Unexpectedly, Ning Rulin turned around and gave him a fierce glare. Her expression showed that she was unhappy because of his interruption. Zhao Yuanliang, Ning Rulin turned around to look at Yi Chun again and scoffed. "Liar, didn't you promise to bring Brother Wu Shuang to Jinling to see me? Sister, if you scold my father again, I'm going to get angry." Meng Meng pouted and looked at her angrily. "It's you, little girl." Yi Chun shook his head in surprise. The girl in front of him was the girl who accompanied Wu Shuang when he first reunited with her. If he remembered correctly, her surname was Ning, and she seemed to like Wu Shuang a little. Because of this, she was jealous of Su Yuwei. "Where's Brother Wu Shuang? Why didn't he come with you?" Ning Rulin could not stop looking around. She seemed disappointed when she did not see Yi Wu Shuang. Wu Shuang. Yi Chen's expression turned grim. He eventually shook his head and said, "I'll explain to you later." He wanted to tell her that Wu Shuang's whereabouts were unknown, but he was afraid that the girl in front of him wouldn't be able to accept it. Meanwhile, Zhao Junshin had been watching the two of them. When he realized that the two of them were talking about the word unparalleled, he seemed to have thought of something and could not help but ask Yi Chun, "May I know who you are, sir?" He asked cautiously. Before Yi Chun could speak, Ning Rulin glanced at him in surprise. Subsequently, she said angrily, "You don't know him? He's the mad southern Yi I told you about along the way." As her voice fell, Zhao Junshin, who had been calm since he entered the door, had a sudden change in expression. He subconsciously blurted out, "Why, you're mad southern Yi?" Ning Rulin's words were like a heavy bomb. It set off a storm in his heart. Everyone at the side was stunned. Clearly, they did not expect the Zhao family's eldest young master to have such a sudden reaction. At the next moment, Zhao Junshin suddenly took 2 steps forward quickly. He bowed heavily after walking to Yi Chun and said while cupping his fists, "So it's you, sir. I didn't know that you've come to Jinling beforehand. Please forgive me for not welcoming you." When he said these words, he lowered his stance very much. He did not have the slightest bit of pride as a disciple of a wealthy family. It was as if a junior was greeting an elder. On the way here, he had discussed mad Southern Yi with Ning Rulin. He did not expect to meet the legendary Chinese legend. "I was curious who dared to look down on the Zhao family. I didn't expect it to be him." That's true. Only such a person can look down on all the wealthy families. They can even suppress Korea. What does our Zhao family count for? His heart was trembling violently, and he lowered his stance even more. However, the others at the side did not know what he was thinking. They were just shocked that the dignified Zhao family's eldest young master would suddenly be so respectful to Yi Chun. Even Wu Wenshan was no exception. Shock flashed across his old face. Subsequently, he looked at Yi Chun in deep thought. "Did I make a mistake?" Brother Yi, He, Tsang Shu Shue, Li Yongmin, and the rest looked at Yi Chun, who was playing with his daughter with his head down while ignoring Zhao Junshin's humility. They felt like their brains had short-circuited. "Brother, what are you doing?" Just as everyone was feeling suspicious, Zhao Yuanliang, who was kneeling on the ground, roared, "Not only did this brat hit me, he even asked me to kneel. Hurry up and kill him." Piak. Before he could finish his words, he was sent flying by a slap. "Brother, why you hit me?" Zhao Yuanliang covered his swollen face and looked at him in disbelief. It was the first time his brother had hit him. However, Zhao Junshun, who was initially extremely humble, turned around and retracted his hand. He looked at him with an extremely grim expression. "B****, do you know that you've caused great trouble for our Zhao family? Beating you up is considered letting you off lightly. If father were to come personally, he would even kill you on the spot. Apologize to sir now, or I'll kill you first." Zhao Junshun was really furious. He grew up in the Middle East and had experienced countless things. He had never been angry since he returned to his family, but he was really furious at that moment. His bastard brother could not provoke anyone. Why did he have to provoke Mad Southern Yi? At the same time, he was afraid. It was because Yi Chen's expression remained the same from the beginning until the end. He was terrifyingly calm. Zhao Yuanliang said with a humiliated expression, What did you say? You want me to apologize to that brat? Brother, are you crazy? You're the future heir of our Zhao family." Piak. Zhao Junshan slapped him again, causing his front teeth to fall out. "Not only do you not feel any regret in front of sir, but you even dare to be so rude?" Zhao Yuanliang almost fainted. Things had come to this. At this moment, everyone finally realized that something was wrong. What was the reason? To think that the young master of the Zhao family, a wealthy family in Jinling, would have such a reaction. Even when facing those giants in Beijing, young master Zhao still talks and laughs. He has never lost his composure like this, right? At that moment, many people looked at Yi Chun. Could it be that this brat has a shocking background? At that moment, Yi Chun, who had been silent, lifted his eyes and looked at Zhao Junshin. There was no emotion on his face. "Do you know me?" Chapter 551. Although Junshin has never witnessed your invincible glory, Zhao Junshin's heart skipped a beat when he met Yi Chen's gaze. He took a deep breath in and said, "However, you're the most famous in China and the world. How could I not know about you? Ever since you debuted, you've killed Yuan Bupo, Northern Devil Jiang, Western Overlord Liu, and other experts. You've killed foreign enemies in China's territorial waters and destroyed a warship with a single strike of your sword. You've never been defeated." He ignored everyone's surprised gazes and took a step forward, especially when you killed your way into Korea alone recently and suppressed Korea with your own strength. You've already shocked the world. Although Junshan wasn't there, every time I think about it, I feel the blood in my body boil. I wish I could go to Korea personally and be your subordinate so that the foreign countries can know how powerful China is. At this point, his face was flushed. As his words fell, everyone present became even more suspicious. The only thought in their minds was that the Zhao family's eldest young master must have gone mad. It was as if he was telling a story. Zhao Yuanliang was even more dumbfounded. Apart from relying on the Zhao family's prestige to spend money and play with women, he knew nothing else. He did not pay attention to anything else. So how could he have heard of Yi Chen's achievements? Just as everyone was confused, a middle-aged businessman suddenly walked out of the crowd. A middle-aged, wealthy businessman suddenly walked out of the crowd. He seemed to be on steroids as he walked to Yi Chun quickly and stammered, "W1 Guahao greets the China #1, Elmad Southern Yi." At this point, he turned to the crowd and said, "Everyone, haven't you heard of the news reported on the television a few days ago? A Chinese expert killed his way into Korea and fought a shocking battle with a Korean expert? How could I not have heard of it?" Someone stood up and said with spittle flying, "This news caused quite a stir. At that time, I thought it was fake news. Later, a friend of mine in Korea confirmed that it was true." After his reminder, many people present nodded and recalled, "Indeed, there was such a thing. I heard that the internet was in an uproar over it. My wife even told me that if I were 1/10 as powerful as that Chinese expert, it wouldn't have been so difficult to pursue her back then." Even Wu Wenshan, a scholar, nodded and said, "I was attending an art exhibition in Korea at that time. It was already over when I found out about this. It said that Korea's Crimson Afterglow Peak was almost destroyed." At this point, his expression changed abruptly. He seemed to have thought of something as he looked at Yi Chen all of a sudden. See, could it be that Mr. Yi is the martial Tao powerhouse who killed his way into Korea and restored our country's prestige? It's just a small matter. It's not worth mentioning. Yi Chen shook his head lightly. He was neither haughty nor humble. Pretentious bastard. Ning Rulin pursed her lips and said unwillingly, if my brother Wu Shuang were to make a trip to Korea, he would be able to do this too. Bring brother Wu Shuang to Japan next time. Yi Chen was speechless. As soon as Wu Wenshan finished speaking, the entire competition hall of the Jinling Art Gallery fell into dead silence. Countless pairs of eyes stared blankly at Yi Chen. There was shock, disbelief, and even more horror. So he was the Chinese expert who had beaten Korea to tears. No wonder he had the confidence to ask for an explanation from the Jinling Art Gallery. No wonder he still forced Zhao Yuanliang to kneel on the ground after he exposed the Zhao family's background. He even asked the Zhao family to come and get him. No wonder he did not take the Zhao family's eldest young master, Zhao Junshun, seriously. Song Shushue covered her lips tightly, her heart pounding. Mr. Yi is so amazing. Brother Yi, you've really hidden it well. Li Yongmin did not know whether to laugh or cry. When he got to know Yi Chen, he was surprised that the ordinary-looking Yi Chen had such a beautiful and cute daughter. As a contractor, he was worth more than 1,000,000,000 yuan. Although he did not intend to show off at all, he was just a nodding acquaintance when he faced Yi Chen. He felt that Yi Chen and he were not from the same world. Unexpectedly, Yi Chen's background was so powerful that it made him want to die. Yi Chen could even beat a country to tears. What was a mere nouveau riche to him? Little fatty Li Erguo looked at the cute little girl in Yi Chen's embrace enviously. He could not help but mutter, why don't I have such a powerful father? My biological father doesn't seem to be capable apart from being rich. Li Yongmin was speechless. This old man has misjudged you. Wu Wenshan heaved a sigh of relief. He walked to Yi Chen with complicated emotions and bowed deeply. What you did the other day raised the prestige of our country. You're a national scholar. It's funny that I took advantage of my seniority in front of you. Don't worry about it. Yi Chen shook his head lightly and looked at Zhao Junshan next to him. Do as you see fit. Zhao Junshan's heart skipped a beat. He then walked to Zhao Yuanliang, who was paralyzed from fear. He lifted him up and tossed him to Yi Chen. Mr. Yi, it's my fault that my brother offended you. As his elder brother, I didn't teach him well. I should apologize to you on his behalf. As soon as he finished speaking, a crack was heard. His right thumb had already been broken by himself. Brother, Zhao Yuanliang cried out when he saw that. Regret finally appeared on his face. He could not help but kowtow to Yi Chen like he was pounding garlic. Mr. Yi, it's my fault. I'm willing to accept any punishment from you. At this moment, this wealthy family's disciple finally realized who he had offended. Not to mention a mere Zhao family. Even all the wealthy families in Jinling combined would not be his match. Mr. Yi, do you think it's enough to atone for my brother's crimes? Zhao Yuanliang, who had severed his finger, looked at Yi Chen with a pale face. If it's not enough, Junshin can sever his finger and arm. At that moment, a staff member walked over with a certificate. Yi Chen took it and took a look. He walked out of the art gallery with Meng Meng and Qianqian without looking at the people behind him. This is the only time. There won't be a next time. Otherwise, I'll wipe out your Zhao family with a single strike. As soon as he finished speaking, he had already left. Yes, I'll follow your words, sir. Zhao Junshan bowed heavily in the direction where he had left. Zhao Yuanliang knelt on the ground like a dead dog, panting heavily as if he had just walked through the gates of hell. At the same time, he remembered Yi Chen's words. After what happened today, the news of Mad Southern Ye's arrival in Jinling would spread like wildfire. Any wealthy family would be able to find out the whole story as long as they used some tricks. If the Zhao family still did not know what was good for them, countless wealthy families who fawned on him would attack the Zhao family without Yi Chen doing anything himself. For example, the Ning family. At that moment, a beautiful figure dashed out. Hey, you big liar, don't go. You haven't told me where brother Wu Shuang went. Chapter 552. Ning Rulin's Anger. That afternoon, At the entrance of the Ning family's villa, the head of the Ning family, Ning Zuan, stood motionlessly in formal attire. Behind him were 2 rows of people standing respectfully. All of them were the upper echelons of the Ning family. Any one of them could cause an earthquake outside, but none of them moved at all. If one took a closer look, they would realize that these people's faces were filled with impatience. However, they did not dare to flare up because of Ning Ziyuan's authority. "Master, who are we waiting for?" In the end, a core member of the Ning family could not help but ask. His words naturally attracted everyone's attention. That was right. With the Ning family status in Jinling, was there a need to make such a big fuss to welcome a single person? Even a master had come personally. Those who did not know would think that a big shot had arrived. That's right. He has an appointment with someone to have sex with. A beautiful woman wiped her face with a wet towel, looking very impatient. It's been half an hour, and he's still not here. Shut up. However, Ning Zuan snorted coldly and said expressionlessly, "Keep your spirits up. It's a great honor for our Ning family that the big shot who is coming today can come to our Ning family. No one is allowed to neglect him at all. Otherwise, he will be expelled from the family." Everyone's expressions froze when they heard that, but they did not dare to complain anymore. However, they could not help but be curious about what kind of big shot could make the masters so nervous. Even the masters of other wealthy families did not receive such treatment, right? At this moment, a black BMW drove over from afar. When the car stopped, an ordinary-looking young man walked out holding the hands of 2 little girls who looked like they were carved out of jade. "Sir, it's my honor to have you here at my humble home." Ning Ziyuan's spirit was lifted. He immediately greeted him with a smile. Yichun smiled lightly. "I've kept you waiting, Master Ning." At the same time, the people of the Ning family around lifted their eyes to look at Yichun. Disappointment appeared on their faces. They thought he was some big shot. They did not expect him to be so ordinary. "It's not long at all. You're being too kind, sir." Ning Zuan laughed and led Yichun into the villa. "Sir, I prepared a banquet. I've been waiting for your arrival." "Dad, have you forgotten about your daughter?" Ning Ruolin walked out of the car, her face full of anger. Ning Ziyuan didn't even pay attention to her. The crowd immediately dispersed. The woman from before muttered, "Let's all disperse. I thought it was some big shot, but it turned out to be a poor brat. The patriarch is really—" "Stop." Ning Ruolin's face turned cold, and she called out to her, "What did you just say?" "No, nothing." The woman's face turned pale as she hurriedly shook her head. "Although I don't like that guy. He's Brother Wushuang's relative after all. In other words, he's half my relative. How can you belittle him?" After dropping those words, Ning Ruolin walked into the villa, leaving the previous woman standing in the same place and continuously slapping her own face. The members of the Ning clan kept quiet out of fear. This was the first time they had seen Ning Ruolin flip out. The Ning family's third-floor reception room. Meng Meng and Qian Qian could not stop eating the sumptuous dishes on the table. The table full of dishes ended up in the stomachs of the 2 little girls. On the other hand, Ning Ziyuan and his daughter acted as if they did not see it. Instead, they looked at Yi Chun in shock. "Mr. Yi, do you mean that Wushuang I is dead? How is that possible?" Ning Ziyuan almost fainted. He had seen countless people in his life, but he only liked the young man in white who carried a sword on his back. Because of that, he was not angry even when that young man barged into the Ning family's weapon repository and snatched the clan's treasure, the Great Thunder Sword. Instead, he intended to betroth his only daughter to him. Who would have thought that less than 2 months after the young man returned to Yanjing, the news of his death had come? What an outstanding genius he was. On the other hand, Ning Ruolin could not accept it. She almost flipped the table over. She stood up by instinct and looked straight at Yichun. "Are you saying that my brother Wushuang is dead?" Yichun sighed softly and waved his hand. A few fragments suddenly appeared on the table. They were the fragments of Wushuang's Great Thunder Sword. The fragments were still sharp, but their owner was... "It's the Great Thunder Sword." Ning Zuan recognized it at a glance, and there was a faint stabbing pain in his heart. The sword was broken, and the person died. Did the person really die when the sword was broken? Chapter 553. In an old courtyard house in the old city of Jinling City, three figures stood facing each other. The three figures stood facing each other. The courtyard house in front of them was extremely old, and the door was even covered in cobwebs. The Ning family's head, Ning Zuan, looked at the courtyard house with great appreciation and said, "Mr. Yi, this is the ancestral home of our Ning family. It's also where our Ning family's hidden sword pavilion is located. Your Ning family's ancestor is indeed wise to be able to design such an exquisite courtyard house." Yi Chen's divine consciousness covered the entire courtyard house. He saw all the mechanisms and formations in the courtyard house. "Dad, when did our Ning family have such a Sihiyuan? I didn't even know about it before." Ning Ruolin, who was standing at the door, looked around curiously. It was clearly her first time here, and there was a hint of complaint in her tone. Ning Zuan glared at her angrily. "Only the heads of the family know about the ancestral land. I thought that if Wu Shuang got together with you, he would be able to inherit it." At this point, he couldn't go on. It was because Ning Ruolin's expression instantly dimmed. Ning Zuan sighed inwardly after witnessing this scene. He couldn't understand his daughter better than anyone else. Don't be fooled by the fact that this girl was usually carefree and impulsive, completely lacking the modesty of a girl. Once she set her mind on something, even 9 bulls couldn't pull her back, especially when it came to relationships. "Mr. Yi, you're not an outsider, so I made an exception to bring you here today. The Hidden Sword Pavilion has collected the weapons of our Ning family for hundreds of years. As a hero of the generation, how can you not have a suitable weapon?" Ning Zuan changed the topic on purpose and led Yi Chun into a rundown room. Subsequently, he placed his hand on a candlestick and spun it a few times according to a certain pattern. Boom! In the next moment, the floor in front of everyone disappeared with a bang, replaced by a stone staircase that led underground. "Mr. Yi, please." Ning Zuan took out a flashlight and lit the stone steps. Yi Chun took a step forward and walked down the stone steps. He could not help but ask, "Did Wu Shuang enter your Ning family's hidden sword pavilion like this?" "Not at all." Ning Zuan looked at Ning Ruolin by instinct, then shook his head and said, "Mr. Yi, you might not know this, but our Ning family's hidden sword pavilion has an exit and an entrance. We're at the entrance, and the exit was set by the Ning family's ancestor in a waterfall. I don't know where Wu Shuang got the news that day, but he forcibly cut off the waterfall and forced his way in." At this point, a hint of admiration appeared on his face. "My Ning family's ancestors have already set up many formations at the exit to prevent outsiders from accidentally breaking in. For example, the giant stone array, the 10,000 arrow array, and even a glass fire array. Over thousands of years, who knows how many people blinded by greed have died in there. But Wu Shuang single-handedly broke the mechanism that my Ning family spent countless generations to set up. When I found out, I was shocked." Ning Ruolin said angrily, "Of course, Brother Wu Shuang is powerful. Dad, if I knew that Brother Wu Shuang wanted to enter our Ning family's hidden sword pavilion, I would have secretly turned off the formation. Fortunately, Brother Wu Shuang is fine. Otherwise, I'll never forgive you." Ning Ziyuan was speechless. While they were talking, they had already reached the end of the stone steps and entered a dark stone room. Ning Ruolin shone the flashlight, and an old face was immediately revealed in the darkness. She was so scared that she could not help but cry out subconsciously, "Ghost! It's not a ghost, it's a human." Yi Chun shook his head, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. The other party was an old man in a gray robe. He looked to be in his 70s. He must have stayed here all year round and had not seen the sun for a long time, so his face was a little pale. "Ziyuan greets granduncle." Ning Ziyuan immediately took a few steps forward and bowed to the old man, as if a junior was bowing to an elder. The old man did not say anything. Instead, he looked at Yi Chun with extreme vigilance. "Who is this?" "Ziyuan. Those who are not members of the Ning family are not allowed to enter the ancestral land. Are you trying to break the rules?" As soon as he finished speaking, a shocking force immediately erupted from his body. There was even a trace of sword intent. The Ning family actually had a martial Dao master hidden. Moreover, He was about to comprehend the embryonic form of sword intent. Surprise flashed across Yi Chen's face. "Granduncle." After Ning's Yuan comforted Ning Rulin, he said with a smile, "Do you still remember the person who broke the mechanism of our Ning family's ancestral land and took away the great Thundersword?" "Of course I do." The old man's expression froze, and his fierce expression softened a little. "How could I forget that sword-like young man? If it weren't for him, I wouldn't have touched the threshold of sword intent." "Granduncle, Mr. Yi is Wu Shuang's relative," Ning Yuan immediately explained. "Not only that, Mr. Yi is also the #1 person in the Chinese cultivation world." The old man looked at Yi Chun in shock when he heard that young man from that day has relatives. "Mr. Yi, this is my granduncle, Ning Tong. He's the most powerful person in the Ning family. He's been guarding the Hidden Sword Pavilion his entire life," Ning Yuan introduced. "Rulin, quickly greet great-granduncle." Only then did Ning Rulin react. She looked at Ning Tong in fear and said timidly, "Rulin greets great-granduncle. I didn't expect you to grow up so much." Ning Tong looked at the slender and elegant Ning Rulin and sighed. "When I entered the Hidden Sword Pavilion to guard it, you were not even 2 years old. Granduncle, it's like this. It's rare for Mr. Yi to come to our Ning family, so I took the liberty to bring him into the Hidden Sword Pavilion to take a look. I hope you can." Ning Yuan hesitated. "Logically speaking, those who aren't my clansmen are not allowed to enter." Ning Tong seemed to hesitate, but in the end he sighed softly and said, "However, since you're that young man's relative, please go in. Is there any other reason behind this?" Yi Chen was slightly surprised. He did not expect the Ning family to let an outsider like him in for Wu Shuang's sake. Ning Yuan explained, "Mr. Yi, you might not know this, but after Wu Shuang barged into the Hidden Sword Pavilion that day, Granduncle attacked him, but he was defeated by Wu Shuang's sword. Wu Shuang's 3 questions enlightened Granduncle." "Which 3 questions?" Yi Chen said while smiling. Ning Tong took a deep breath in and said, "As a member of the Ning family, I think I understand the sword and know how to use it. However, I was defeated by that young man's sword. I'm not convinced, so I asked why there's such a huge gap between swords." That young man did not answer me. Instead, he asked 3 questions. "Do you know what a sword is? Do you know how to use a sword? Are you worthy of using a sword?" Yi Chen secretly nodded when he heard that. That was Wu Shuang. As the sword spirit of the heavenly Dharch sword, he had the right to question all swordsmen. Chapter 554. Ning Tong forced a smile. "These 3 questions seem ordinary, but they made me fall into a dilemma for a month. In the end, I finally came to a realization. It was also because of this that I comprehended a trace of sword intent. Therefore, that young man has imparted the Tao to me and answered my questions. It's not too much for me to call him teacher." At this point, he seemed to have thought of something and could not help but ask, "By the way, did that young man come with us? I want to thank him in person." Ning Rulin's eyes turned red. She wanted to speak by instinct, but Yi Chen shook his head and said, "Wu Shuang has gone out to train. Thank him when you have the chance." "That's true. How can such an outstanding young man be limited to a small place like Jinling?" Ning Ting shook his head and smiled. Then, he turned around and walked to a stone door. He took out a tiger-shaped pendant. Ning Yuan also walked forward and took out a tiger-shaped pendant from his body. After the 2 tiger-shaped pendants were combined into one, they were embedded on the stone door. Boom! Along with a loud noise, the heavy stone door suddenly opened wide. What greeted their eyes were densely packed swords. Countless rusty long swords stood on the ground. From afar, they looked like mounds of dirt in a grave, filled with a murderous and sharp aura. "Dad, there are so many swords." It was the first time Ning Rulin had seen so many swords hidden in her house. She could not help but exclaim, "1, 2, 3. I can't even count them. If I sell them all as scrap metal, I'll probably make a lot of money." Hearing the first half of her sentence, Ning Yuan and Ning Tong's faces were filled with pride. However, when they heard the second half, the corners of their mouths twitched. They wished they could strangle this prodigal girl to death on the spot. This is passed down from our ancestors. Your first thought isn't to protect them forever, but to sell them as scrap metal? Does my Ning family lack that bit of money? A certain little money grubber didn't notice this scene at all and was still immersed in excitement. He exclaimed in surprise while counting with his fingers, "Scrap iron is 1.5 kilograms. A sword is at least 4 to 5 kilograms. There are over 1,000 swords here," which means Ning Ziyuan was furious. He said to Yi Chun after coughing a few times, "Mr. Yi, this is what my Ning family has accumulated over hundreds of years. The outermost ones are some ordinary ancient swords. They can't withstand the corrosion of time and have rusted. The weapons inside are more expensive and of better quality. Other than swords, there are also sabers, spears, arrows, and halberds." Yi Chun nodded lightly and took a step forward. Ning Tung hurriedly reminded, "Little friend, you can't. This is the sword forest. After a few hundred years, the surroundings have long since been assimilated, and the magnetic field has changed. If you enter rashly, you'll be no different from a human-shaped magnet, and you'll be easily attacked." Hearing those words, Ning Ruolin, who wanted to go in, was immediately shocked. If she were to go in like this, it would be strange if she didn't turn into a hedgehog. Ning Ziyuan took out something that looked like a raincoat from a box beside him. "Not bad. You should wear the Ning family's special, non-magnetic suit." Not waiting for him to finish, Yi Chun placed his hands behind his back. Subsequently, he tapped the ground with the tip of his foot and leaped like a cannonball. Eventually, he landed next to an ancient bronze sword. He stretched out his hand and made a grabbing motion in the air, and the ancient bronze sword landed in his hand. Then, he waved it in the air and released countless sword lights. What a pity! Ordinary iron is still ordinary iron after all. Yi Chun shook his head lightly and stabbed the ancient bronze sword into the ground again. He proceeded to walk deeper into the sword forest with his hands behind his back. With every step he took, then a sword would shoot out from the ground and hover beside him. The body of the sword trembled as if it had seen the King of Swords. In the end, dense sword silhouettes hovered around Yi Chun as if there were countless sword gleams blooming in the air. If one took a closer look, a faintly discernible sword silhouette gradually appeared in Yi Chun's body. The sword silhouette was like a dragon, emitting an aura that looked down on the world and suppressed everything. It was like a king had descended. Ning Ziyuan and the rest who were watching from outside could not close their mouths. Ning Tung inhaled sharply and stammered, Is this the 10,000 swords greeting?" He clearly remembered that the last time Wu Shuang entered the sword forest, it had only caused the 10,000 swords to howl. It gave people the feeling that these swords had seen a friend. Even so, it still shocked him quite a bit. However, the scene before him shocked him. "Oh no, Dad," Ning Ruolin suddenly exclaimed. "These swords seem to listen to that guy. What if he empties this place when he leaves?" Ning Ziyuan panicked when he heard that. "How can we do that? This is an ancestral item of our Ning family." Ning Ruolin stomped her feet and said angrily, "We can't let that guy escape later unless he gives us money. We'll sell it to him at the market price of scrap. That way, we can save on transportation and labor costs. It's worth it." The veins on Ning Ziyuan's face bulged when he heard that. Eventually, Yi Chun landed before a stone tablet. He looked at a line of words on the stone tablet with a complicated expression. "You guys are clearly swords, but you can only stand here quietly as ownerless objects. After thousands of years, you still can't find a master, and in the end, you'll decay. How is Wu Shuang different from you guys? I'm also looking for master. Wu Shuang doesn't know where master is, nor does he know when he'll be able to find master. 1,000 years? 10,000 years? Or until Wu Shuang decays?" There were only over 100 words that seemed to be carved with swords, but they revealed the confusion, sympathy, and self-pity of a pure child facing this tablet and the 10,000 swords. "Wu Shuang, Wu Shuang." Yi Chun stood before the tablet and mumbled to himself as if he had been petrified. "Just you wait. I'll look for you when I find Night Demon. I promise that we won't be separated this time." With a wave of his hand, the words on the stone tablet disappeared. At the next moment, He turned around and leaped back to Ning Ziyuan and the others. Ning Ziyuan's face twitched slightly as he looked at the countless sword images hovering above his head. He said, "Mr. Yi, are you trying to empty my Ning family's hidden sword pavilion? Pay up, pay up." Ning Rulin spread out her hands and said, "The market price of scrap iron is 2 yuan per caddy. For the sake of Brother Wu Shuang, I'll give you 1 yuan per caddy." "You've misunderstood," Yi Chun said while chuckling softly. "Master Ning, most of the sword in your Ning family's hidden sword pavilion are scrap metal. It's useless to keep them, but it's a pity to throw them away. What I'm thinking is to refine these 10,000 swords into a sword pill as a form of repayment for your Ning family's kindness to Wu Shuang." Sword sphere? Ning Ziyuan and Ning Tung looked at each other in confusion. Yichen did not say anything. He stretched his arm and grabbed. The sword silhouettes hovering above his head were all caught in his hand. Subsequently, they turned into a dazzling flame. A few breaths later, the sword silhouettes hovering above Yi Chen's head had completely disappeared. What replaced them was an iron ball the size of a pigeon's egg. Ning Rulin was on the verge of vomiting blood. "Where's our family heirloom? Where did you put it? Isn't this it?" Yi Chen picked up the sword pill and smiled lightly. Ning Rulin said angrily, "Who are you trying to fool? So many swords turned into such a small iron bead?" After saying that, she reached out to pick up the sword pill. "Let him do it." Yi Chen stopped her and looked at Ning Tung, who was standing aside with a forced smile. Ning Tung suppressed the doubts in his heart and reached out to touch the sword pill. Then, he subconsciously wanted to pick it up. However, his expression changed in the next moment. It was because he discovered this tiny iron bead. It was extremely heavy. With his martial Dao master cultivation base, he found it extremely difficult to pick it up. This is the sword pill. The sword pill is shaped like a pill, and its meaning is like a sword. It can cut iron like mud, and it can be soft like a ring. Yi Chun said calmly, "You guys can control it easily after refining it with a drop of blood. If you encounter danger, you just need to throw the sword pill out. Even a martial Dao master will die if they touch it." Chapter 555. Sword Pill. It was a magic tool that only existed in the cultivation world and was different from a sword. It was the size of a pigeon's egg. Although it was round, it could change its shape at will. Coupled with its small size, not only could it save a lot of magic power when fighting enemies, it could also achieve an unexpected effect. This kind of magic tool was not considered a brilliant technique. The truly powerful ones were the talisman treasures refined by Golden Core Masters. The talisman treasures contained the power of a Golden Core Master's full-powered attack. Ning Tung hesitated for a moment after hearing what Yi Chen said. He bit his finger and dripped a drop of blood on the sword pill. Subsequently, he picked up the sword pill easily this time. With a thought, the sword pill flew out of his hand and turned into a sword gleam that slashed at the stone door before them. The few of them widened their eyes and looked at the stone door nervously. However, they realized that there were no changes to the stone door. Ning Rulin pursed her lips. "Tisk, it's nothing." Before she could finish, Ning Tung's expression changed. He grabbed the father and daughter with both hands and quickly took a few steps back. At the next moment, a crack appeared on the stone door, followed by numerous cracks. It was like a shattered mirror. Boom! The heavy stone door collapsed with a loud bang. The might of a single sword strike was so terrifying. At that moment, Ning Rulin, her daughter, and Ning Tung were instantly speechless. However, their eyes were filled with deep shock. Especially Ning Tung. Cold sweat seeped out of his back. If that sword gleam had landed on him, he bowed deeply to Yi Chun after putting the sword pill away as he thought to this point. He said excitedly, "Ning family thanks you for your kindness, sir." He knew very well that if the Ning family continued to guard the scrap metal that had been passed down from their ancestors, perhaps in another 1 to 200 years, these things would decay. However, after Yi Chun refined all of them into sword pills, the Ning family would not be able to do anything about it. However, after Yi Chun refined all of them into a sword pill, the Ning family had gained a great treasure. With such a powerful magic tool, if the Ning family was in danger, and the only martial Dao master in the Ning family, controlled it. No one below the master level could defeat it. Don't worry about it. I've already said that it's to repay your kindness to Wu Shuang. Yi Chen took another deep look at the place where Wu Shuang had been before. He then turned around and walked out. Once upon a time, a white-clothed youth faced the sword forest alone, feeling dejected. But now, it was the same for Yi Chen. At around 5 o'clock in the afternoon, Tian'an Airport, Yi Chen walked out while holding Meng Meng and Qianqian's hands. Yang Tian and Lin Tai, who had been waiting outside, welcomed him when they saw him. Yang Tian gave Yi Chen a hug as soon as he got up. Old Yi, your flight was half an hour late. Middle stage of spirit gathering? Yi Chen glanced at him in slight surprise. He noticed that Yang Tian's aura was much steadier now. It was a sign that his ability had increased. Of course, when you weren't around, apart from eating and sleeping, all I did was cultivate with all my might. Yang Tian smirked. Subsequently, he glanced at Lin Tai next to him in disdain. I remember someone started cultivating 2 months earlier than me, didn't he? Now, I've actually caught up to you. Lin Tai's expression turned grim. How can that be the same? If I were to suck up to the Patriarch every day, I would have reached mastery stage spirit gathering long ago. He was the first to follow Yi Chen, and he was also the first to start cultivating. It had been almost half a year since then, but he had only reached intermediate stage spirit gathering. Moreover, it was with the help of a large number of medicinal pills. Otherwise, his speed would be even slower. However, Yang Tian had only started cultivating for less than 3 months, and he had already broken through to intermediate stage spirit gathering. As the saying went, there would be no harm if there was no comparison. He was depressed about that. Yang Tian would always stab him in the back. Looks like you've gotten a lot of benefits from the Patriarch. Yi Chen glanced at Yang Tian with a wry smile. In reality, Yang Tian's aptitude was slightly inferior to Lin Tai's. Both of them had the same cultivation resources, but Yang Tian improved rapidly. Lin Tai's words were true. Yang Tian had been sucking up to the Patriarch of Hell all day and had gotten a lot of benefits. Speaking up to this point, he seemed to have thought of something again and exhorted, I don't care what the Patriarch taught you, but you must have your own mind. You can't just take whatever others give you, especially the yin and yang integration technique that the Patriarch taught you. None of you can learn it. What? Yang Tian asked by instinct. You'll know when you ask the Patriarch how he died. Yi Chen smiled mysteriously and got into Lin Tai's car while holding the 2 little girls' hands. Speaking of which, an example like the Patriarch of Hell was a 1 in a million existence in the cultivation world. He could not believe that he could create a method like the 3,000 Imperial Girls Dao. He even cultivated it to the tribulation stage. If the Patriarch had not forcefully ascended with the 3,000 beauties when he was ascending, he would not have died under the heavenly tribulation. However, even if the Patriarch had not died and ascended to the immortal world with the 3,000 beauties, he would have been captured and locked up in the immortal world's prison warden mountain as soon as possible. The reason being, what he was doing was illegal immigration. Moreover, it was illegal immigration in a group. How could the immortal world's heavenly rules allow that? If it were during Yi Chen's reign, the Patriarch would have been locked up for 10,000 years with the prison warden's bad temper. After they got in the car, Yang Tian could not help but ask, Old Yi, where did the Patriarch go? I haven't seen him for a few days. Lin Tai, who was in the driver's seat, could not help but look at Yi Chen. The Patriarch is in seclusion somewhere. When the time is up, he will come out. During this period of time, all of you can focus on your cultivation. Yi Chen chuckled softly and urged Lin Tai to drive. He then said, Oh yeah, take care of the Zhao family's mother and daughter. There was a trace of anticipation in his heart. If the Patriarch of Hell broke through to foundation building, how much more powerful would his abilities be? This old monster was as cunning as a ghost. He loved to hide his abilities, so he did not reveal many things to Yi Chen. It could be said that apart from Wu Shuang, among all the outsiders, Yi Chen was closer to the Patriarch of Hell. It was probably because they were both cultivators. As the car started, Yichen lifted his eyes and looked at the passing streets quietly. A hint of surprise flashed across his calm expression because he sensed that there were more cultivators in Lin City than before. Although there were many cultivators compared to the many ordinary people, there were basically 1 in 1,000,000. However, his divine sense sensed that there was a cultivator among the 2 or 3 pedestrians on the street, and the weakest was an internal energy warrior. He could not help but ask, "Has anything major happened in Tianan recently?" Lin Tai and Yang Tian's expressions changed when they heard that. They fell silent, looking like they wanted to say something but hesitated. Yichen's expression turned grim slightly when he saw that. What exactly happened? Chapter 556. Seeing that Yichen's expression was not right, Yang Tian could not hide it anymore. Yang Tian couldn't hide it anymore and immediately said, "During the time you were away, many cultivators suddenly appeared in the Tianan region. I noticed." Yichen nodded lightly. Lin Tai took over and said, "These people are very powerful, and they're dressed rather strangely. We didn't pay much attention at first, but last night, one of my casinos was kicked." Yichen's eyes focused. Kicked. That's right. A few guys went to my casinos to play. These people won and won. They've never lost before. In less than 2 hours, they won more than 80 million yuan. Lin Tai's expression was a little terrible. At first, we thought they were cheating, but we couldn't find out anything even after trying everything we could. Due to our pride, we could only watch helplessly as they finished off the dealer and won all the chips on the table. That was how the casino business was. In a regular casino, as long as you did not find out that the customers were cheating, you had no excuse to go back on your word. Most importantly, the dealer was usually from the casino. The casino would lose as much as the dealer lost. After these people won, they took the money and left while laughing wildly. Lin Tai continued, "At that time, one of my subordinates called Ming Feng was the one who held the fort. This guy was unwilling to give up, so he secretly sent more than 10 people to follow those people. He wanted to snatch the money back." He took a deep breath in. In the end, these people never returned. They disappeared without a trace, as if they had evaporated from the world. They were killed? Yichen's expression remained the same. "Yes," Yang Tian interrupted. "The next morning, there were more than 10 heads at the entrance of the casino. They happened to belong to the people who disappeared. These people won our money and killed our people. They even put their heads at the entrance to humiliate us." Atai was furious and was about to look for them. In the end, these people came to the casino to gamble as if nothing had happened. Atai came out to question them, but he was severely injured by them with a single palm. At this point, Yang Tian's face flushed red. I rushed over immediately after receiving the news, but I was still slapped to the ground by them. They even stepped on me and humiliated me. This was a humiliation that he would never forget. Initially, he thought that he would be considered a powerhouse in China after following Yichen on the path of cultivation with the patriarch's guidance. Never had he thought that he would be easily crushed by a few people who appeared out of nowhere. "Why didn't you guys tell me?" Yichen said in a deep voice. "My first thought at that time was to call you, but Atai said that you brought your daughter to participate in the competition. I can't let you be distracted, so I endured it for the time being." Yang Tian bitterly smiled. In the end, they asked us to compensate 1 billion yuan. They even said that they'll give us a 3-day deadline. Otherwise, they'll kill us. Lin Tai said in shame after saying that. "My lord, I'm useless." Yang Tian reminded, "Today is the 2nd day." "Interesting." Yichen spread his arms and flexed his fingers. "Have you investigated their background?" "Yes." Lin Tai shook his head lightly and said, "However, we didn't find anything. These people seem to have appeared out of nowhere. We dared to make a big fuss so that we wouldn't implicate Ms. Su. You guys did the right thing." Yichen's eyes flickered nonstop. "They came to my territory to steal my money, beat my people, and even extorted me. This is getting more and more interesting." Lin Tai and Yang Tian were both on intermediate stage spirit assembly. They would not feel any pressure against ordinary martial Dao masters. Even veteran martial Dao masters would not be able to defeat them in one move. He glanced at his daughter who had fallen asleep beside him, and a mocking smile appeared at the corner of his lips. Bring me there tomorrow night. What the few of them didn't know was that a pair of eyes had been watching the car leave the airport and disappear in the end. The Heavenly Palace's headquarters. Guan Shanhua laughed out loud and said, Mad Southern Yi, oh Mad Southern Yi, you're finally back. I didn't find you so many opponents in vain. Don't worry, the best is yet to come. One of his subordinates could not help but ask, Palace Master, why didn't you attack him yourself? Instead, you want to borrow their strength? These guys have always been arrogant and looked down on everyone. What do you know? Guan Shanhua smiled coldly. That senior brother of mine has been watching me all the time. He's like a dog skin plaster. As soon as I attack, he'll attack too. Moreover, there's still no news about the person the Xiao family asked me to look for. Yichen did not go to Lin Tai's casino directly. Instead, he got him to send him back to the Yi family villa. As soon as he got out of the car, Meng Meng rushed into the house with the certificate. Grandpa, Grandma, I'm back. I even got first place. The little fellow kept bragging about the experiences of his group, which made the two old men extremely happy. Yichen looked at the time and realized that it was almost 6:30 p.m., but Su Yuhan had yet to return. He could not help but ask, Dad, is Yuhan still working? Yuhan called us earlier. She said that she went to a banquet with Yu Wei and will be back later. Yihai was all smiles as he carried Meng Meng. Yichen was slightly stunned. Su Yu Wei, hasn't she been in Beijing? When did she come to Tian'an? He did not like Su Yu Wei, his sister-in-law. Therefore, he did not bring Su Yu Wei with him after leaving Beijing. Su Yu Wei knew her place, so she stayed in Beijing to develop herself. It was said that she even joined the entertainment industry. Yichen did not pay much attention to her after that. Here's the thing. There's a charity party in Tian'an tonight. Yu Wei said that many celebrities will be there, so she invited Yuhan. Yihai explained, you know that Yuhan's company deals in women's products, especially cosmetics. Therefore, she wants to use the charity party to attract some clients. Daddy, can we go and pick Mommy up? I want to eat the scallion pancakes Mommy made. Meng Meng looked at Yichen in anticipation after getting down from her grandfather's embrace. Sure. Yichen picked her up and pinched her cheeks. He said in between tears and laughter, I think you're lying about wanting to eat scallion pancakes. You just want to show off to Mommy that you got first place, right? You smart girl. Dongdu Hotel. This was one of the few five-star hotels in the entire Tian'an. It was also a hotel that had just opened. It was famous because many celebrities were invited to the opening ceremony. It was said that the boss behind the hotel was a big shot in the entertainment industry. At that moment, countless luxury cars were parked at the entrance of the Dongdu Hotel. There were also many handsome men and beautiful women in bright clothes, sunglasses, and scarves walking in one after another. Su Yu Wei, who was wearing a burgundy dress and a mask, stood at the entrance. She looked outside from time to time as if she was waiting for someone. Perhaps because she was dressed too sexily, many female celebrities who passed by looked at her with jealousy. There were even many male celebrities who took the initiative to hit on her. What time is it? Why isn't my sister here yet? Su Yue looked at the time. Just when she was about to call to ask, she saw Su Yuhan, who was wearing a beige professional office lady suit, walk in. Sister, you're finally here. Su Yue immediately went up to her and complained. I rushed here after dealing with the company's matters. I ran into a traffic jam, so I'm sorry, Su Yuhan said with a smile. She then took a few glances at her sister and could not help but say, Not bad, Yue. You're becoming more and more like a celebrity. When are you going to be my company's product ambassador? Sister, stop talking. Let's go. I'll bring you to meet someone. Su Yue grabbed her hand and walked in. She said as she walked, Let me tell you, I know a master who is very accurate at fortune-telling. Haven't you always wanted to have a second child? You can take the opportunity to ask this master today. He definitely knows. Chapter 557. Since when did I say that I want to have a second child? Su Youwei's words stunned Su Yuhan slightly. She looked around and said while blushing, Moreover, even if I really want to have a second child, won't I have to go to the doctor? What does that have to do with a fortune teller? Keep pretending. Su Yue chuckled and said, Uncle Yi and Annie Wu told me that Yi Chun has been back for more than half a year, but your stomach hasn't moved. They're worried. No way. My parents even told you that? Su Yuhan was so embarrassed that she wanted to find a hole to hide in. They're right. Look, you're already over 30 years old. I heard that it's not easy for women to have children after 30. Su Yue rolled her eyes and said, moreover, Meng Meng is almost 5 years old. She's reaching the age of maturity in the blink of an eye. It's good for you to give her a younger brother. At this point, she added, coincidentally, I met a fortune teller before. He's really effective. Many friends in the industry have looked for him. After I told him about your situation, he said that sometimes having a child depends on fate. If you're not fated to have one, you can't force it no matter what. Forget it, let's not. Su Yuhan shook her head without even thinking about it. Although she was anxious about having a second child, she was not so superstitious that she would look for a fortune teller. Moreover, she knew Yi Chen's ability. To her, no master was as powerful as Yi Chen. Instead of looking for a fortune teller, she might as well ask Yi Chen directly. Since we're here, we won't lose out if we meet. Su Yue ignored Su Yuhan's objection and grabbed her hand as they walked into the Dongdu Hotel. The two sisters eventually entered a luxurious private room. When they pushed the door open, they realized that there were many young men and women sitting inside. They were dressed extravagantly. If one took a closer look, they would realize that these people were surrounding an old man in white. The old man was wearing a Taoist robe and had a head full of white hair. His entire body was filled with an immortal aura. Even though he was facing so many celebrities in the entertainment industry, he kept his eyes closed as if he was meditating. Wei Wei, you're here. A handsome young man came to greet them. He was tall and wore a black jacket. His eyes were full of tenderness when he looked at Su Yue. Su Yue went up and kissed him on the cheek. She then turned around and said to Su Yuhan, who looked confused, Sister, let me introduce you. This is Lin Han, my current boyfriend. Your boyfriend? Su Yuhan was caught off guard. She had never expected her sister, Su Yue, to find a boyfriend. Yeah, he's very powerful. Su Yue smiled sweetly and introduced Lin Han. This is my sister, Su Yuhan. She's the CEO of a listed company. Hello, Miss Su. Lin Han extended his hand to Su Yuhan politely. I've always heard Wei Wei say that she has a beautiful sister. I didn't believe her at first, but I didn't expect it to be true. Miss Su is even more beautiful than what she said. Hello. Su Yuhan shook his hand at the right time and pulled her hand back. She looked up at Su Yue as if she was rebuking. When did you find a boyfriend without telling me? I've only known Lin Han for less than half a month. I didn't have the time. Su Yue held Lin Han's hand and stuck her tongue out playfully. They've already confirmed their relationship after knowing each other for less than half a month? Su Yuhan's smile froze slightly, but she did not say anything in the end. At that moment, a woman in revealing clothes stood up and walked to the old man in white. She asked, Master Tian, I'd like to ask you a question. I went to Thailand for a trip a while ago. I've been having nightmares ever since I came back. In my dreams, a 3-year-old girl often chased after me. At this point, her face turned a little pale, and she's very fierce. Even if I don't sleep, I'll hear the sound of glass beads falling to the floor in the middle of the night. There's even the sound of a child hitting a ball. As soon as she said that, the entire private room fell silent. Everyone could not help but look at the woman and the old man in white. Even Su Yuhan and her sister were no exception. Someone said with a laugh, Miss Tong, could it be that you're being paranoid? The sound of glass beads and balls should be children playing upstairs. That's right. I also heard that the sound of glass beads falling to the ground isn't a supernatural event. Instead, it's caused by a type of bacteria growing on the ceiling. No, that's not it. The woman hurriedly shook her head. The neighborhood I lived in was newly built. There were no children at all. Moreover, I moved to a hotel for a few days after that, and it was the same. As soon as he said that, everyone's expression gradually changed. Someone could not help but look at the old man in white. Master Tian, what do you think is going on with her? Meeting everyone's gazes, the white-clothed old man slowly opened his eyes. He merely took a glance at the woman surnamed Tong and said, "Miss Tong, when you were in Thailand, did you go to a temple there?" How did you know? The woman looked at him with her eyes wide open as if she had discovered something unbelievable. The temples in Thailand usually worship an existence called Kumanthong. I think you must have accidentally provoked Kumanthong. Master Tian shook his head slightly. Someone immediately asked, "What's Kumanthong?" I heard that Kumanthong is made from the ashes and hair of children who died young. Then, they ask a sorcerer to consecrate them. A slightly older middle-aged man's expression changed slightly. It said that this Kumanthong that has been consecrated by an expert has spiritual power and can help people change their luck. I've also heard that Kumanthong is very popular in Thailand, and the temples in Thailand usually worship Kumanthongs. Some tourists will choose to adopt one when they travel. The other young man nodded in agreement. The woman with the surname Tong took a deep breath and said, "Master Tian's guess is right. I went to a temple in Thailand. At that time, I saw many children's statues in the temple. I thought they were quite cute, so I reached out to touch them. I didn't expect to accidentally shatter one. It's fine if you broke it, but you were afraid of being discovered, so you secretly packed the broken clay sculpture and took it away?" Master Tian's gaze seemed to be able to see through people's hearts. How do you know about that? The moment that was said, the woman's expression changed again. Then, she said, "And Master, could it be that what happened to me recently is related to that broken Kumanthong?" "Of course it's related." Master Tian shook his head slightly and said, "Kumanthong is actually a spirit infant. Most of them are children who died young. Due to the resentment in their bodies, they can't reincarnate. Therefore, some eminent monks made them into Kumanthongs and enshrined them in temples to resolve their resentment. Or perhaps they were taken away by benefactors to accumulate merit. You destroyed a Kumanthong, which is equivalent to destroying its residence. After that, not only did you not explain the situation to the person in charge of the temple, but you even brought the fragment out. You've provoked it just like that. How can it not bear a grudge against you?" At this point, he could not help but look at the woman with the surname Tong. At the moment, its resentment isn't deep. At most, it will harass you and scare you. As time passes, it might even endanger your life. Everyone was in an uproar when they heard that. The woman with the surname Tong knelt on the ground with a thud and begged bitterly, "Master, please save me. No matter how much money you want, I'm willing to pay." Chapter 558. That's right. "Master, please save Ms. Tong." Many people present followed suit and begged for mercy. "Forget it." Master Tian sighed softly and said slowly, "The one who started the trouble has to untie it. If you want to resolve this calamity, you need to go to the temple in Taibang again and tell the person in charge the whole story. They'll have a way to solve it." What if it's too late? The woman was still in shock. It was fine if she did not know the whole story at first, but now that she knew that something dirty was pestering her, she was afraid even for a second longer. "It's fine." Master Tian shook his head slightly, and a yellow talisman appeared in his hand. "After you go back, prepare a sealed glass cabinet at home and put some children's toys in it. Make sure to put a wind chime and a bottle of yogurt mixed with white wine. If you hear the wind chime ring in the middle of the night, get up and stick this talisman on the glass cabinet. Then, bring the glass cabinet back to the temple in Taibang." The woman took the yellow talisman with trembling hands. She was in disbelief. That's it? Of course. I can temporarily seal it in the glass cabinet with this method." Master Tian smiled and said, "However, don't think that everything will be fine after you seal it in the glass cabinet. After it realizes that it has been tricked, its resentment will increase greatly. If you don't send it back to Taibang after a long time, the consequences will be unimaginable." "All right, I'll definitely do it. I'll definitely do it." After the woman put away the talisman solemnly, she said gratefully, "Master, how much do you want to charge me this time? It's fate that we got to know each other. It's free this time." Master Tian smiled calmly. After experiencing this incident, everyone looked at Master Tian differently. At first, some people thought that he was a quack. At that moment, many people pestered Master Tian and asked him questions. Some asked about marriage, some asked about career, and some even asked about life and death. Master Tian answered each and every one of them very clearly. Sometimes he could even tell them about their past experiences and special encounters, which shocked everyone even more. "Sister, how is it? I didn't lie to you, did I?" Su Yue looked at Su Yuhan proudly. "Master Tian is really smart. He's a capable person. Why don't you hurry up and ask him to tell when you can have a second child?" "Forget it." Su Yuhan hesitated and shook her head. On the other hand, Lin Han said in surprise, "Miss Su is married? My sister isn't married, but she has a boyfriend. Her daughter is already in school." Su Yue blurted out. "I didn't expect Miss Su to have a child." Lin Han smiled as a trace of disappointment flashed across his eyes. To be able to become Miss Su's boyfriend, he must be a dragon among men. Not long after, Master Tian finished answering everyone's questions and stood up to leave. Su Yue grabbed Su Yuhan's hand and walked over. "Master Tian, do you still need me? We've met in Beijing before." "So it's Miss Su. This is my big sister, the one I mentioned to you before. I heard that you're also attending the charity party today, so I brought my big sister here to ask you to take a look." Su Yue smilingly said. "I remember now." Master Tian nodded slightly, then looked at Su Yuhan and said, "Since she's Miss Su's relative, there's no harm in me telling it again." "Sister," Master Tian has agreed. "Why aren't you thanking him?" Su Yue was extremely excited. Su Yuhan wanted to reject, but she eventually said, "Thank you, Master Tian. Everyone, please leave for a moment." Su Yue began chasing everyone out. After everyone left, Master Tian sat down again and said slowly, "Giving birth involves karma and reincarnation. It's much more difficult than the previous few patrons. Therefore, I need to ask for a birth date from you, Miss Su." "Birth date? I don't have that." Su Yuhan was slightly stunned. "It's the date of birth. You just have to be accurate to the hour." Master Tian smiled calmly. Su Yuhan looked around and realized that Su Yue and Lin Han were standing at the door, as if they did not want anyone to disturb them. After hesitating for a moment, she said slowly, "My birthday is on the 6th day of the 9th lunar month in 1989. I think it's 6:30 p.m. "Then, what's your husband's birthday?" "I don't know the details. I only know that he was born in 1988. His zodiac is a dragon, and his birthday is on the 12th day of the 4th lunar month." Su Yuhan shook her head slightly. Master Tian started counting with his fingers. In 1989, it was the year of the snake, the month of the 9th lunar month, the day of the 9th lunar month. He was born in the evening. This went on for more than 10 breaths of time. Seeing that he was silent, Su Yuhan could not help but feel worried. Just as she was about to ask, she heard Master Tian ask, "Miss Su, if I'm not wrong, you should have a daughter. She's a snake like you, and she was born in 2013. "That's right." Su Yuhan's heart skipped a beat. She was very surprised. Could Yue have told him before? Before she could think too much, Master Tian said again, "As the saying goes, dragons and snakes don't meet. Miss Su, your husband, you, and even your daughter have experienced the pain of separation. Am I right?" "That's right." Su Yuhan was even more shocked. Yi Chen's zodiac was a dragon. Both her and her daughter's zodiac was a snake. After that, Yi Chen went to the cultivation world while she was brought back to Beijing. Was that not the pain of separation? Could it really be because dragons and snakes don't meet? Master Tian nodded slightly and continued, "Logically speaking, you and your husband will have 9 children in your life, and every child is destined to be a monster." "And 9? Su Yuhan's red lips parted slightly. She was shocked. 9. That's too many. Moreover, the country had only opened up the 2-child policy. It was not open enough to allow people to have 9 children. Even if it was open, she had never thought of giving birth to so many. Master Tian seemed to have sensed her disbelief and said with a smile, "That's the truth. As the saying goes, a dragon has 9 children, and each of them is different. This is destined. I'm just following the will of the heavens." "Master, why don't I have any signs of having a second child?" Su Yuhan could not help but ask. She had never thought of having 9. She just wanted to give Meng Meng a younger brother. Master Tian chuckled softly. Although you and your wife have 9 children in your lives, this is also related to the day after tomorrow. As the saying goes, there are 3 rounds of battles in the East and West. You guys are destined to face many disasters. What? Disasters? Su Yuhan could not help but be shocked. That's right. Master Tian nodded slightly and said, if I'm not wrong, your husband is a hero among men, and he has a sharp weapon. His existence is destined to bring endless killing and blood. As the saying goes, saving a life is better than building a 7-story pagoda. Killing a person is like falling into a Vichy hell. Your husband has killed countless people, and it will affect his luck imperceptibly. Then, he will accumulate endless evil spirits and karma. At this point, he sighed softly and said, these evil spirits and karma will affect you guys imperceptibly, which is why it's difficult for Ms. Su to conceive a second child. In other words, if there really is a cycle of life and death in this world, your husband has killed countless people, and the murderous aura on his body is monstrous. Ordinary babies are afraid of the murderous aura on his body and dare not reincarnate into your family. The doubts in Su Yuhan's heart disappeared completely after hearing that because Yi Chen's situation was almost exactly the same as what Master Tian had said. Ever since she reunited with Yi Chen, he had killed many people. She knew a lot of them, let alone those that she did not know. She could not help but become nervous as she thought to this point. She asked subconsciously, Master, is there a way to resolve this? P.S. There's still one more chapter. I'm writing it. Thank you, everyone. Chapter 559. Su Yuhan panicked when she heard that the reason she could not conceive a second child was because Yi Chen had killed too many people. It's difficult. Master Tian sighed softly when he met her gaze and said, it's not easy to resolve the sins and karma in your husband. He then changed the topic. However, as the saying goes, there's always a glimmer of hope. Please enlighten me, Master. Su Yuhan stood up and bowed to him with a sincere expression. As the saying goes, put down the butcher's knife and become a Buddha immediately. Master Tian said slowly, the problem you're facing now isn't how to wash away the sins and karma, but to prevent the sins and karma from accumulating again. Therefore, you need to persuade your husband to kill less and do good wholeheartedly. It's best if your husband believes in Buddhism. Buddhist scriptures can get rid of inner demons and dispel evil aura, even evil aura. At this point, he paused for a moment. As for you, Miss Su, your fate has long been tied to your husband's. It can be said that you're bound together for good and bad. Therefore, Miss Su should do more good deeds and worship the gods. All right. Su Yuhan nodded with a heavy expression. From now on, I'll be a vegetarian. I'll fast and go to the temple to pray. Miss Su, you're indeed sincere. Master Tian looked respectful. I have a good friend who's a monk. He's proficient in Buddhism. In the early years, he set up an incense temple at the foot of Yaoshan for people to worship. It's called Puhong Temple. If you have the time, Miss Su, you can look for him. Tell him that I introduced you to him. All right, I'll remember that. Su Yuhan nodded slightly. Just when she was about to say something, she suddenly heard a commotion outside. It seemed like Su Yuwei was arguing with someone. She could not help but follow the sound. On the other hand, Master Tian looked outside the private room meaningfully. A strange arc flashed across his eyes, and then he disappeared on the spot. Outside the private room of Dongdu Hotel, Yi Chen carried his daughter and looked at Su Yuwei coldly. I'll say it again. Get out of my way. He was here to look for Su Yuhan. However, as soon as he arrived, Su Yuwei stopped him outside and refused to let him in no matter what. Su Yuwei stammered and did not give a reason. I told you, my sister is meeting a friend inside. She'll be out in a while. Why are you so anxious? How could a living person disappear? Su Yuwei was a little afraid of Yi Chen's gaze, but she insisted. She dared not let Yi Chen know that she introduced a fortune-telling master to Su Yuhan because she knew her brother-in-law's temper very well. He did not believe in such things. Get lost. Yi Chen scoffed and extended his arm to push her away. Just when his hand was about to touch Su Yuwei, An arm suddenly attacked him from the side and grabbed his arm accurately. "Brother, aren't you being a little overbearing?" Lin Han walked over slowly. There was a hint of fierceness in his eyes as he looked at Yi Chun. "Wei Wei is my girlfriend now. Isn't it inappropriate for you to do this?" When Su Yue snapped back to her senses, she immediately hid behind Lin Han. "Yi Chun, I'm your sister-in-law after all. Is this how you treat me? You should at least show some respect, right? I was wondering where you got the guts to stop me. Turns out that you have someone to rely on." Yi Chun scoffed and said, "Su Yue, it's only right that I'm here to look for Yuhan. Aren't you being cheap by stopping me? I didn't hold it against you for Yuhan's sake, but don't take my tolerance for you as an excuse to be cheap, right?" Su Yue was furious. She was once the second young mistress of the Su family after all. She was used to living a luxurious life and being pursued by countless people. Even though the Su family was no longer around, she was still the center of attention when she joined the entertainment industry. Only Yi Chen dared to call her cheap. "Are you Miss Su's boyfriend?" Lin Han squinted and glanced at Yi Chun and the cute baby in his arms meaningfully. "I thought Miss Su's boyfriend was a gentleman. I didn't expect him to be so rude." After saying that, he gradually tightened his grip on Yi Chen's hand. Before this, he thought that Su Yuhan's boyfriend was someone extraordinary. However, he felt disdain when he saw Yi Chun. Therefore, he planned to teach Yi Chun a lesson. He would beat him up if he did not. However, he had to make him suffer. However, his expression changed slightly in the next moment. He realized that Yi Chen's arm was unusually hard. No matter how hard he tried, Yi Chun remained expressionless. How was that possible? One had to know that he, Lin Han, came from Shang Santian, yet he could not do anything to a person from the secular world. Thinking to this point, a mocking smile appeared at the corner of his lips. "So you're a martial artist. No wonder you have the guts to bully my girlfriend. All right, I'll play with you." At the next moment, he threw a punch at Yi Chun. His target was the cute baby in Yi Chen's arms. "Lin Han, don't be rash." Su Yue's pretty face changed when she saw that. She knew how powerful Yi Chun was. Now, Lin Han had taken the initiative to attack him. Was he courting death? Bang! Yi Chun threw a punch as well. The two fists collided, producing an ear-piercing sonic boom. A violent force spread in all directions with the two of them as the center. Boom! Countless cracks appeared on the ground. Many hotel facilities exploded on the spot. As for Su Yue, she was sent flying backward. He took another look. Lin Han took 3 steps back abruptly, leaving a long ravine under his feet. Meanwhile, Yi Chun was still holding Meng Meng without moving. "You're a cultivator too?" At that moment, Lin Han's frivolous expression changed slightly. Although he had only used less than 10% of his strength in that punch earlier, it was enough to kill any expert below the martial Dao master level. However, not only did Yi Chun take it, but he even sent him flying with a punch. Yi Chun was shocked too. He did not expect Su Yue's boyfriend to be able to take a casual blow from him. Lin Han was at least a peak martial Dao master. "You want to play? Let's play then." Yi Chun's eyes turned cold. He moved and leaped toward Lin Han while carrying his daughter. His speed was as unfathomable as a ghost. "So what if you're a cultivator? You bunch of bumpkins from the secular world don't know how powerful Shang Santian is." Lin Han smirked coldly and was about to charge forward. "Stop!" At that moment, a cold voice came from the side. Su Yuhan walked out of the private room angrily. Meng Meng immediately went up to her. "Mommy." After Su Yuhan carried her daughter, she raised her eyes and sized up the mess in the crowd. She said coldly, "What's wrong with all of you? Why did you guys fight?" "Sister," Su Yue said in an extremely wronged manner. "You were meeting your friend inside earlier, but Yi Chun insisted on rushing in. I told him to wait, but not only did he not listen, he even wanted to attack me. If it weren't for Lin Han, I might have been beaten up by now." Just as she was about to add fuel to the fire, she suddenly felt an extremely cold gaze directed at her. She shuddered and did not dare to continue. "That's your brother-in-law, not an outsider. Why are you calling him Yi Chun? You're so rude." Su Yuhan glared at her. Su Yue lowered her head angrily. "All right, it's all a misunderstanding." Su Yuhan waved and looked at Yi Chun. When did you come back? I just came back. If you, the housewife, didn't come back, the child and I would have to starve. That's why I came to look for you. Yi Chin's cold expression finally softened. Meng Meng hugged Su Yuhan's neck and giggled. Mommy, I got first place this time. That's great. I'll cook you a delicious meal when we get back. Su Yuhan kissed her and said, Let's go back. By the way, Yu Wei, do you want to go back with us? Sister, I'm not going. Su Yue glanced at Yi Chun in fear and shook her head immediately. All right then. Be careful when you're outside. Remember to call me if anything happens. Su Yuhan reminded worriedly and left with her daughter and Yi Chun. Yi Chun took a good look at Lin Han before he left. I'm so pissed off. After watching them leave, Su Yue stomped her feet and vented. He was the one who attacked first, but my sister scolded me instead. Looks like I'm the outsider now. Cough, cough. At that moment, Lin Han coughed violently. Lin Han, are you all right? Su Yue immediately became nervous. I'm fine. Lin Han shook his head lightly. He looked at the direction where Yi Chun had disappeared in deep thought and said while grinning coldly, Your brother-in-law is very powerful. He's the most powerful person I've met this time. He's crazy. Don't provoke him. Didn't you see that he wanted to attack me earlier? I wonder why my sister likes him. Su Yue said angrily. Lin Han could tell what she meant and could not help but ask, Why? I feel that you don't have a good relationship with your brother-in-law. Of course not. A trace of fear and hatred flashed across Su Yue's pretty face. If your clan was destroyed, would you still greet him with a smile? She was afraid and hateful of Yi Chun. She was afraid that Yi Chun's ability was like a nightmare. She hated the fact that she used to be the second young mistress of the Su family. She lacked nothing. However, ever since Yi Chun destroyed the Su family, she lost everything overnight. Your Su family was destroyed by him? A glint flashed across Lin Han's eyes. Don't worry. Since he's your enemy, he's my enemy too. I'll help you deal with him. Don't. Su Yue's expression changed slightly. Apart from me, my sister, and my cousin Su Qilin, no one in the Su family survived. He killed them all. He's a terrifying person. As her voice fell, Lin Han suddenly looked at her. What did you say? Su Qilin is your cousin? Yeah, what's wrong? Su Yue was puzzled. Lin Han's expression changed a few times before he suddenly laughed. Nothing. Su Qilin. He did not expect the proud disciple of the first peak of Shang Santian's sword sect to come from the secular world. Moreover, he was Su Yue's cousin. A hint of fear flashed across his eyes. Even I would be overshadowed by a paragon like Su Qilin. In the entire sword sect, I'm afraid only the new genius from the sword sect's humble peak, Yi Wushuang, can compete with him, right? P.S. The third chapter has a lot of words, so the price will be a little more expensive. Thank you for your support. The plot will become more and more exciting. I'm begging for tickets. Chapter 560. On the way home, Su Yuhan carried Meng Meng while listening to Yi Chun and his daughter's experience in Jinling. When she heard that the organizer of the competition had publicly broken the fairness of the competition and awarded the first prize to the Zhao family Zhao Yang, she could not help but reveal a furious expression despite her character. She lifted her head to look at Yi Chun, who was driving. Why, you didn't kill anyone, did you? Am I, your husband, a murderous demon who kills for no reason in your eyes? Yi Chun shook his head, not knowing whether to laugh or to cry. Anyone who died in his hands had touched his bottom line, or someone who had the ability to threaten him. That's good. Su Yuhan heaved a sigh of relief, as if a heavy burden had been lifted from her shoulders. She was really afraid that Yi Chun would do something overboard in front of her daughter. By the way, who did you meet in the private room earlier? Yi Chun asked. A friend that Yue introduced. I chatted with him for a while. Su Yuhan hesitated for a moment, but she did not tell the truth in the end. She could vaguely sense that there seemed to be some grudge between Yi Chun and her sister. If she told him that Master Tian introduced him to Yue, Yi Chun would probably dislike Yue even more. Yi Chun, who was driving, did not notice anything wrong with her expression. Instead, he said, Try to stay away from your sister in the future. What's wrong with Yue? Su Yuhan asked by instinct. Your sister is too smart. I thought her personality would change after not seeing her for 2 months. I didn't expect her to still be the same. Yichen shook his head lightly. Oh yeah, now that you mentioned her, I just remembered Yue's boyfriend. His name is Lin Han. I've never seen him before. Su Yuhan seemed to have thought of something. She frowned and said, Yue talked to me on the phone before, but she never mentioned this person to me. She even told me that she and Lin Han had known each other for less than half a month. At this point, she was a little worried. They're a couple after knowing each other for less than half a month? Yue is being a little ridiculous. Looks like I have to ask her to come home later and get to know Lin Han. She's one of the few relatives I have in this world now. Yichen smiled but did not say anything. However, his eyes kept flickering. Shang, Santian, I don't care where you're from. If you become my enemy, I'll kill you. The next night, a black BMW drove into the largest underground casino in Forest City, the Crystal Palace. The entrance of the casino was located in the underground parking lot. When Yichen walked out of the car, Lin Tai and Yang Tian, who had been waiting, came to him. Yichen lifted his eyes to look around and asked, Are those people here? Not yet, but I think it will be soon. Lin Tai shook his head lightly and subsequently said, My lord, I'll bring you in first. Everything has been prepared inside. Yichen nodded lightly and walked into the elevator in the parking lot under their lead. As the elevator started, an extremely spacious and bright hall came into view. There were all sorts of gambling equipment in the hall, but there were not many people at the moment. As if sensing Yichen's doubt, Yang Tian could not help but say, Old Yi, Atai's casino used to have good business, but ever since those guys came, the traffic has decreased greatly. My lord, you're only looking at the first floor of the casino. Let's wait on the third floor first. The third floor is mainly for leisure and dining, Lin Tai introduced. At that moment, Yichen exclaimed. There was a hint of surprise in his eyes as he looked at a gambling table in a lobby of the casino on the first floor. What's wrong? Lin Tai and Yang Tian hurriedly looked in the direction of his voice. They saw many people gathered at the gambling table. There were only 2 people sitting there. One was a slightly plump, middle-aged man, dressed like a foreign merchant. In front of him was a pile of chips, and opposite him was a little boy about 14 or 15 years old. In front of the 2 of them, there was a beautiful dealer dealing cards. The 2 of them were obviously playing Golden Flower. Compared to the pile of chips in front of the middle-aged man, the little boy's face was empty, and he looked dejected. Why is this kid here? Yichen's gaze focused on the little boy. He was Zhao Xiaotian, one of the Zhao family's mother and son whom Huang Quan had been thinking about before he went into closed-door cultivation. My lord, you might not know this, but the patriarch often gives money to this kid named Zhao. This kid is good at eating, drinking, gambling, and smoking. He actually came to our casino to play a while ago. Lin Tai was afraid that Yichen would be angry, so he hurriedly explained, We chased this kid out in the beginning. In the end, this kid took a box of money and scattered it around the entrance of our casino. He even said that he has money too, so why can't he come in? Due to his relationship with the patriarch, we couldn't do anything to him, so we could only turn a blind eye. Old Yi, you have no idea. This kid is really a talent. At the mention of him, Yang Tian beamed with joy and said, This kid is more addicted to gambling than anyone else. In less than 3 days after coming to this casino, he lost 2 million yuan. In the end, he even went to borrow from loan sharks. If it weren't for Atai's secret help, he would have been beaten to death and thrown into the gutter by the debt collectors. As they were talking, the elevator had already reached the 3rd floor. Yichen walked into a private room and sat down. He lifted his eyes to look at Zhao Xiaotian below and said in a deep voice, The patriarch gave him so much money. I'm not sure about that. Yang Tian shook his head and said, In any case, the patriarch treats this kid like his own son. I don't know what the patriarch sees in him. Why? Are you jealous? Why don't you become the patriarch's godson when he returns? I'll be the middleman and hold a banquet for you two to reunite, Lin Tai teased. Yang Tian almost threw a punch at him. Get lost. Of course, he was interested in his body. Yichen secretly laughed. Just as he was about to say something, he heard a loud laugh coming from below. Ha ha ha, kid, do you still have money to follow me? The person who spoke was the foreign merchant. Compared to his pride, Zhao Xiaotian, who was sitting opposite him, looked dejected. He picked up his cards and looked at them again. They were a pair of aces. Then, he unwillingly threw out the remaining 2,000 yuan on the table. I want to open your cards. Kid, you want to open my cards with a mere 2,000 yuan? Dream on. If you don't have money, quickly admit defeat and go back to drinking milk for a few years. The middle-aged merchant sneered. The onlookers also laughed. There were originally 6 people in this game of golden flowers, and it lasted for half an hour. During this period, 4 people quit. During the whole process, the middle-aged merchant never looked at his cards. He had been depressed. Anyone with a discerning eye could tell that this was the time to compete with chips and psychological tactics. Zhao Xiaotian was obviously no match for him. Zhao Xiaotian flew into a rage when he heard that. His face flushed red, as if he had thought of something. He gritted his teeth and said, "You can open your cards for 30,000 yuan at most. I'll bet 1 finger. Is that enough? P.S. The first chapter is a little stuck. I'm still writing the rest. Sorry." Chapter 561. What's wrong? Lin Tai and Yang Tian hurriedly looked in the direction of his voice and saw many people gathered at the gambling table. There were only 2 people sitting there. One was a slightly plump middle-aged man, dressed as a foreign merchant with a pile of chips in front of him. Opposite him was a little boy about 14 or 15 years old. In front of the 2 of them, there was a beautiful dealer dealing cards. The 2 of them were obviously playing Golden Flower. Compared to the pile of chips in front of the middle-aged man, the little boy's face was empty, and he looked dejected. Why is this kid here? Yi Chen's gaze focused on the little boy. He was Zhao Xiaotian, one of the Zhao family's mother and son whom Hell had been thinking about before he went into closed-door cultivation. My lord, you might not know this, but the patriarch often gives money to this Zhao kid. This kid is good at eating, drinking, gambling, and smoking. He actually came to our casino to play a while ago. Lin Tai was afraid that Yi Chun would be angry, so he hurriedly explained, "We chased this kid out in the beginning. In the end, this kid took a box of money and scattered it around the entrance of our casino. He even said that he has money too, so why can't he come in? Due to his relationship with the patriarch, we couldn't do anything to him, so we could only turn a blind eye. Old Yi, you have no idea. This kid is really a talent." At the mention of him, Yang Tian beamed with joy and said, "This kid is more addicted to gambling than anyone else. In less than 3 days after coming to this casino, he lost 2 million yuan. In the end, he even went to borrow from loan sharks. If it weren't for Tai's secret help, he would have been beaten to death and thrown into the gutter by the debt collectors." As they were talking, the elevator had already reached the 3rd floor. Yi Chen walked into a private room and sat down. He lifted his eyes to look at Zhao Xiaotian below and said in a deep voice, "The patriarch gave him so much money. I'm not sure about that." Yang Tian shook his head and said, "In any case, the patriarch treats this kid like his own son. I don't know what the patriarch sees in him." "Why? Are you jealous? Why don't you become the patriarch's godson when he returns? I'll be the middleman and hold a banquet for you 2 to reunite," Lin Tai teased. Yang Tian almost punched him. "Get lost." Naturally, she was interested in his physical body. Yi Chen secretly laughed. Just when he was going to say something, he heard a loud laugh coming from below. "Ha ha, brat, do you still have money to follow me?" The one who spoke was the foreign merchant. Compared to his pride, Zhao Xiaotian, who was sitting opposite him, looked dejected. He picked up his cards and looked at them again. They were a pair of aces. Then, he unwillingly threw out the remaining 2,000 yuan of chips on the table. "I want to open your cards. Kid, you want to open my card with a mere 2,000 yuan? Stop dreaming. If you don't have any money, just admit defeat and go back to drinking milk for a few years." The middle-aged merchant sneered. The onlookers also laughed. There were originally 6 players in this game of golden flowers, and it lasted for half an hour. During this time, 4 players quit. During the whole time, the middle-aged merchant did not even look at his cards. He was depressed the whole time. Anyone with a discerning eye could tell that this was a battle of chips and psychological tactics. Zhao Xiaotian was obviously no match for him. Zhao Xiaotian flew into a rage when he heard that. His face flushed red, as if he had thought of something. He gritted his teeth and said, "You can open your cards for 30,000 yuan at most. I'll bet a finger. Is that enough?" When they saw this scene, Lin Tai and Yang Tian, who were in the private room, were shocked. What kind of bastard did the patriarch fancy? This kid was really mad at losing. This kid is so mischievous, but he's actually an idiot. He didn't even think about how he could defeat that middle-aged merchant. That man has eaten more salt than he has eaten rice. Yang Tian cursed. Lin Tai could not help but say, "My lord, do you want me to send someone to stop him?" He was really afraid that something would happen to Zhao Xiaodian. Otherwise, he would not be able to answer to the patriarch when he returned. No need. Yichen shook his head lightly. He immediately spread his divine consciousness and saw the middle-aged merchant's cards clearly. It was 3 threes. Such a deck of cards completely crushed Zhao Xiaoyan's pair of aces. Ignore him. Let's just watch the show quietly. Yichen chuckled softly and ignored their doubts. He said with a forced smile, "I'd like to see how this kid will deal with it after he loses." The Patriarch of Hell had his eyes on this cauldron. He was also filled with curiosity. This kid was ruthless. It was good for him to suffer a little. At the same time, in the lobby of the casino, "Good job, kid." The middle-aged merchant was shocked as well, and then he said, "You're even more courageous than I was in my early years." "All right, I agree." At this point, he changed the topic, and his expression was replaced by coldness. "Of course, if you lose, leave me a finger before you scram." At the next moment, both of them flipped over their cards. Ha ha ha. The middle-aged merchant laughed on the spot. He was very pleased with himself. "Congratulations, kid. One of your fingers is gone." How is this possible? Zhao Xiaoyan's smug expression was immediately replaced by fear and disbelief. "No, this is impossible." He screamed and threw the pie at the middle-aged merchant. Then, he grabbed a handful of chips on the table and ran toward the exit of the casino like a madman. Obviously, he wanted to go back on his word after losing. Not only did he want to go back on his word, he did not forget to take away a portion of the other party's chips before leaving. Little B asterisk starred. "You're still trying to run?" The middle-aged merchant flew into a rage. He suddenly stood up and said to the bodyguard guarding the door, "Capture this kid. I want one of his hands." Zhao Xiaodian had just run to the door when he was grabbed by a burly man in a suit. No matter how hard he struggled and resisted, it was useless. In the end, he was dragged back to the gambling table by the burly man like a chick. Slap! The middle-aged merchant stood up, walked over, and slapped him in the face. He smiled sinisterly and said, "Kid, why don't you run? Why aren't you running? I've traveled all over the world for so many years, and you're the first person who dares to fool me. Uncle, let me go. I was wrong." Zhao Xiaodian was finally afraid. His face was full of fear. Wang Yao smiled coldly. "I originally admired you. I thought that you were quite brave, despite your young age. If you had lost, I might not have taken a finger from you. But not only did you renege on your debt, you even stole my chips before you left." Wang Yao sneered coldly. "Hold his hand down for me. Not only do I want one of your fingers, I want your whole hand. Consider it a lesson for you. You have to be honest when you're in the underworld." Hearing his words, the burly man in the suit immediately pressed Zhao Xiaoyan's left hand on the gambling table. Wang Yao bent down and picked up a stool. No. Zhao Xiaodian was so scared that he wet his pants on the spot. He trembled and said, "Don't break my hand. My stepmother's boyfriend is very rich. When he comes back, he will give you as much money as you want." Wang Yao's face was full of disdain. He raised the stool and was about to smash it down. At this moment, Zhao Xiaodian suddenly said, "My godfather is Brother Bao. If you dare touch me, he won't let you off." As soon as this was said, Wang Yao's movements suddenly froze, and his face was full of fear. "Brother Bao, Lin Tai." These few words were famous in the entire Tianan. No one dared to underestimate him. Even he was no exception. Yi Chun, who was in the private room, could not help but look at Lin Tai beside him when he heard that. He chuckled and said, "When did you have a godson?" Lin Tai smiled bitterly. He did not expect Zhao Xiaotian to say such a thing at a time like this in order to save a hand. "Brother Bao is your godfather?" Wang Yao looked at Zhao Xiaotian in awe and immediately reacted. Little B asterisk starred. If your godfather is really Brother Bao, how could he not even have 30,000 yuan? How dare he lie to me? If your godfather is Brother Bao, then my son is Mad Southern Yi. Hearing this, Yang Tian could not help but laugh in the private room. Old Yi, congratulations on having a rich father. In the next second, the stool in Wang Yao's hand slammed down. Almost at that moment, there was a loud bang at the casino's door. Then 2 men and a woman swaggered in from outside. Lin Tai, 3 days are up. Have you raised the 1 billion yuan? End of this chapter. Chapter 562. Lin Tai, 3 days are up. Have you raised the 1 billion yuan? This sudden scene shocked all the guests in the underground casino. Everyone could not help but look in the direction of the voice. Even Wang Yao, who was about to cripple Zhao Xiaoyan's hand, was no exception. Who was it? How could he be so arrogant? Didn't he know that this was the largest underground casino in Lin City? There were 2 men and a woman, all around 24 or 25 years old. They were wearing all kinds of famous brands and had famous watches on their hands. The leader was a young man with a buzz cut. He had an unruly expression, and a wanton smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. His majestic gait gave people a trace of invisible pressure. What are you looking at? As if sensing everyone's angry gazes, the man behind the young man with the buzz cut grinned. A bunch of ants. I'll give you 10 seconds to leave the money and disappear. Otherwise, you won't be able to leave. As his voice fell, everyone in the casino was completely enraged. Anyone who could come to this casino to gamble was either rich or noble. They had never met such an arrogant person. Wang Yao, who was already in a bad mood, could not help but curse. F***. Where did these 3 bastards come from? Get out! Before he could finish his sentence, his voice stopped abruptly. He only felt an intense pain coming from his neck, and then he lost consciousness. Then, his head rolled to the ground with a grunt. Blood splattered on the faces of others. Dead silence, dead silence. Everyone present widened their eyes in disbelief as they stared at the scene before them. Obviously, they did not expect someone to die so suddenly. The most frightened person was Zhao Xiaotian, who was next to Wang Yao. At this time, his face was covered in blood. His eyes were filled with horror as he watched Wang Yao's headless body fall on top of him. He did not dare to move. When had a 15-year-old like him ever seen such a scene? Kill. Murder. No one knew who exclaimed, but it was followed by a lot of exclamations. For a moment, everyone did not even bother to take the chips on the table. They rushed to the exit of the casino, afraid that they would be one step behind. In the blink of an eye, almost everyone in the casino had run away. Only Zhao Xiaotian leaned against the gambling table. He held Wang Yao's headless body in his arms and did not dare to move. He was obviously scared silly. The young man who spoke earlier flexed his fingers in disdain. A bunch of ants. How can they not be scared? I only killed 1 person and they all ran away. Huang Yin, there's another brat here. The woman in the jade green dress giggled as she noticed Zhao Xiaotian. Lin Tai, are you hiding and pretending to be a coward? The young man with the brush cut looked up and down the entire casino. He put on a fake smile and said, Do you think hiding will work? If you don't come out, Duan Hong, will kill your men first and then destroy your casino. Stop. Right at this moment, a furious voice resounded. Subsequently, Lin Tai and Yang Tian leaped out of the private room one after another. Their eyes were burning with anger. You 2 pieces of trash have finally come out. Duan Hong sneered. I thought you were going to hide for the rest of your lives. Are you ready for 1 billion? Yes, hurry up and take it out. This is your only chance to live. The young man behind him, Huang Yin, also laughed. His eyes revealed a look like a cat playing with a mouse. They thought that Lin Tai and Yang Tian would definitely reveal a look of fear. Who would have thought that the 2 of them would suddenly laugh? Impudent. How can you still laugh? The woman in the jade green dress's expression turned cold. Killing intent filled her eyes. Could it be that the lesson Huang Yin gave you 2 pieces of trash last time wasn't enough? Curson is right. Huang Yin's expression was extremely gloomy, The two of you might be considered experts in the secular world, but in our eyes, you're no different from ants. At most, you're just slightly more powerful ants. You three idiots. Yang Tian was not angry. Instead, he laughed. We're laughing because you don't know that you're about to die. How dare you come and ask us for money? Duan Hong and the other two were furious. In the next second, Lin Tai took a deep breath in and turned around. He knelt on one knee and said to the private room on the third floor, "Welcome, my lord." Duan Hong could not help but look at the third floor. He said in disdain, "I was wondering where the two of you pieces of trash got your confidence from. So, it's because you've hired help. I like to see what kind of help gives you such confidence." Another one who has a death wish. Don't celebrate too early, you two pieces of trash. You'll suffer later. Huang Yin sneered. Brother, don't do anything when these two pieces of trash's helper comes out. Let me do it. I want these two pieces of trash to see how powerful we are. The woman in the jade green dress licked her lips with a cruel expression on her face. Oh, is that so? A calm voice came from the third floor. In the next second, the door of a room on the third floor shattered, and the shards scattered everywhere. Subsequently, a powerful energy tore through the air. A skinny figure flew in the air with his hands behind his back. He walked in the air step by step, as if there were invisible stone steps under his feet. They saw that graceful figure. Lin Tai and Yang Tian's eyes were filled with passion. In their hearts, Yi Chun was an invincible existence, an undefeated legend. He's quite capable. No wonder these two pieces of trash are so confident. Duan Hong squinted as his eyes flashed. Huang Yin and the woman in the jade green dress behind him were no exception. A solemn expression flashed across their faces at the same time. Clearly, Yi Chen's appearance gave them some pressure. After Yi Chen landed, Duan Hong said in a deep voice, "Are you the helper that these two pieces of trash hired? I'll make it clear first. Scram if you don't want to die. You three pieces of trash are the people who extorted 1 billion from Lin Tai." Yi Chen stood with his hands behind his back with a cold expression. "Who gave you guys the courage? I'll give you guys a chance. Scram within 3 breaths, or I'll kill you. How dare you?" Duan Hong and the other two were furious. "Young Master Duan, why are you wasting your breath on him? We'll talk after we kill him." Huang Yin smirked as he clenched his fists tightly. A series of cracking sounds came from his bones, filled with extreme power. Following that, he stomped his feet on the ground, causing the ground to shake violently. He stomped his feet on the ground, causing the ground to shake violently. Subsequently, his body appeared before Yi Chun like a ghost. His right hand expanded in the wind, and his fist was filled with a sharp wind that seemed to be able to topple mountains and overturn seas. Such power made Lin Tai and Yang Tian's faces turn pale. It was because they were defeated by Huang Yin in one move earlier. They did not even have the ability to resist. Duan Hong and the woman in the jade green dress could not help but sneer when they saw that. Huang Yin was using the Huang family's martial technique, the Tombi fist. Using it against ordinary martial artists in the secular world was like killing a chicken with a butcher's knife. On the other hand, Yi Chen's expression remained the same from the beginning until the end. He did not move at all when facing Huang Yin's sharp punch. Subsequently, he threw a punch. Chapter 563. Bang! The two fists, each containing a terrifying power, suddenly collided. With a low, muffled sound, an invisible and terrifying wave of air spread out in all directions. A gambling table was torn into countless pieces by the powerful wave of air. Yang Tian and Lin Tai were shocked by the shockwave. It was too powerful. Initially, they thought that they would be considered powerhouses in China after stepping into the cultivation world. However, they could not help but think that they were looking at the sky from the bottom of a well after facing the might of Yi Chun and Huang Yan's punches. They had no idea Yi Chun was not strong in terms of cultivation base. It was his physical body. Thud, thud, thud. After the two fists collided, Huang Yin retreated rapidly. He seemed to be staggering. Meanwhile, Yi Chun was like a rock rooted to the ground. He did not move at all. He actually took Huang Yan's Tong Quan. At that moment, shock appeared in the eyes of Duan Hong and the woman in the jade green dress, who were sneering. One had to know that although Huang Yin was not considered an outstanding disciple in the Huang clan of Shang Santian, he was considered outstanding among his peers. Most importantly, he had even cultivated the Huang clan's yellow rank martial technique, the Tongbi fist, to the 5th echo. Once the Tong Quan produced 5 echoes, even Duan Hong, who was the strongest among the 3 of them, would have to take it seriously. Although Huang Yan's punch only produced 2 echoes, it should be enough to deal with ordinary martial artists in the secular world, right? Meanwhile, Yang Tian and Lin Tai were overjoyed. Is that a martial technique? Yichen seemed to be in deep thought. During the clash of the punches earlier, he could sense that Huang Yan's punch was very special. Not only was it filled with immense power, but it was also exceptionally domineering and sharp. It was as if he had refined the energy into a weapon. After Huang Yan, who was knocked back, stabilized his body with great difficulty, he looked at Yi Chun with shock and anger in his eyes. You can actually take my Tong Quan? You're quite capable, but your life ends here. As soon as he said that, with a low grunt, the clothes on his body were torn apart, revealing 2 skinny arms. As soon as the grunt was done, he pounced at Yi Chun. The muscles on his arms could not stop trembling, as if there were countless worms wriggling in them. Smack, smack. An unusually ear-piercing and deep crisp sound rang out from within his arms. It sounded like his joints and bones were exploding madly. The sharp wind whistled endlessly. Wherever Huang Yin passed, the ground would shatter, and the air would explode. It was as if the sky and earth were collapsing. Die, brat! Huang Yin roared furiously. When he was about to approach Yi Chun, he suddenly rose from the ground and threw a punch at Yi Chen's head from a condescending posture. Tong Chuan's Tong Quan. A solemn expression appeared on Duan Hong's face. That kid is dead this time. The lady in the jade green dress laughed coldly. The 5 echoes arm fist is practically Huang Yan's full strength. Even I wouldn't dare to take it head on, much less this kid. Meanwhile, Lin Tai and Yang Tian could not help but look worried, because they could sense that the aura on Huang Yan's body was even more terrifying than before. If a single punch landed on them, they would be heavily injured even if they didn't die. However, what Yi Chun did next stunned them. Yi Chun extended his hand calmly and grabbed Huang Yan's punch. He lifted Huang Yan into the air as if Huang Yan's punch had landed on cotton. You. A trace of fear finally appeared in Huang Yan's eyes. Never had he thought that Yi Chun would grab him when he performed the 5 echo arm fist with all his might. Moreover, Yi Chun had removed the force from his fist. It really is a martial technique. Yi Chun nodded lightly, finally confirming his speculation. Subsequently, he looked at Huang Yan in the air and shook his head. I'll take your life. Huang Yan's expression changed. How dare you? Stop. At the same time, Duan Hong and the lady in the jade green dress shouted at the same time. They attacked Yi Chun at the same time. Their expressions changed. Clearly, they wanted to save Huang Yan. However, the next moment, a powerful gust of wind exploded around Yi Chun. It was like a tornado wherever it passed, sending Duan Hong and the lady in the jade green dress flying. Subsequently, a figure flew out like a kite with its string cut. In the end, it smashed heavily onto the ground, creating a huge crater. The figure's head was facing the ground, and his feet were facing upwards. He sank deep into the ground like a fallen onion. His legs twitched violently a few times before they finally drooped down slowly. Huang Yan, Duan Hong, and the lady in the jade green dress expressions froze at that moment. Dead. Huang Yan from Shang Santian was dead. Moreover, he died at the hands of a young man. No one can save someone that I, Yi Chun, want to kill. At this moment, a calm voice rang in their ears. The voice was calm, but to them, it was like winter had arrived. A chill ran down their spines. The lady in the jade green dress looked at Yi Chun in disbelief when she snapped back to her senses. Why you killed Huang Yan? Do you know that he's from the Huang family of Shang Santian? Why you? Who exactly are you, sir? Duan Hong was relatively rational. He glared deadly at Yi Chun after taking a deep breath in. He knew about Huang Yan's ability. It might be nothing in Shang Santian, but in the secular world, it was enough to suppress any public powerhouse in China. However, he still died in Yi Chen's hands. Yi Chen stood with his hands behind his back when he met their gazes. His expression was as cold as a knife. You guys have the guts to come here to rob money and cause trouble. Haven't you found out who the owner of this place is? Why you said your name is Yi Chun? Duan Hong was stunned at first. Subsequently, he seemed to have thought of something as his expression changed slightly. Your surname is Yi. Your surname is Yi. Why could you be the China #1? Mad Southern Yi? The lady in the jade green dress's expression changed as soon as she heard that. Yi Chen chuckled softly and did not comment. On the other hand, Yang Tian laughed out loud. Duan, I've told you since the beginning. You guys don't even know that you're about to die. I think you guys are really crazy about money. Why don't you find out who the real owner of this casino is? He thought Duan Hong would be afraid. So what if you're mad, Southern Yi? Unexpectedly, Duan Hong's expression changed a few times as he said with a sneer. Do you know who we are? Who is Huang Yan that you killed earlier? Shang Santian? Yi Chen's expression remained the same. On the other hand, Lin Tai and Yang Tian looked at each other. They wondered what kind of place Shang Santian was. You actually know about Shang Santian? Duan Hong was shocked at first. Then he said, That's right. We're all from Shang Santian. Your so-called China #1 is just a joke. If Shang Santian doesn't come out, you bunch of ants in the secular world can come up with some heaven leaderboard. The China #1 is just a monkey calling himself king because there's no tiger in the mountain. So what? Yi Chen remained unmoved. The lady in the jade green dress sneered. The foundation of Shang Santian isn't something you bumpkins from the secular world can imagine. If I were you, I would kneel down and kowtow to us to admit my crimes. P.S. There's still one more chapter. I'm writing it. Chapter 561 is blocked. Depressing. Chapter 564. You want me to kowtow to you? Yi Chen revealed a forced smile. It was the first time he heard someone ask him to kowtow to you since he returned to Earth. Duan Hong thought that he was afraid, so he snorted and said, Perhaps you don't know how powerful Shang Santian is, but some of the old people in the secular world do. Shang Santian is the origin of the Chinese cultivation world. If not for the civil strife that broke out in Shang Santian back then, and some traders escaped to the outside world with a large number of ancient books, how could there be cultivators like you? That's right. The woman in the jade green dress smiled proudly. Those traders who escaped to the outside world have been mostly cleaned up by the powerhouses of Shang Santian over the years. Although your Chinese cultivation world has obtained some cultivation inheritances, they are incomplete. You don't have any martial techniques or mystical techniques, and you don't know how to raise your vital energy and blood. You don't even know how to refine medicinal pills and weapons. You can only stop below martial venerable. At this point, his brows were filled with pride. That's why I said that your so-called Chinese cultivation world is just a bunch of vulgar people. They don't know what true cultivation is. They only have brute force, but they can't unleash the strength that a cultivator should have. And then, Yi Chen gave a short response. There was no expression on his face. A mocking smirk appeared at the corner of Duan Hong's lips, and his gaze became extremely sharp. Now that Shang Santian is about to enter the world, no one can change the great battle of the world. Huang Yan, and we came out in advance to prepare for entering the world. You killed Huang Yan, which is equivalent to offending the entire Huang family. No one in China can protect you. Lin Tai and Yang Tian's expressions changed when they heard that. They had experienced Huang Yan's strength before. A mere Huang Yan alone was enough to defeat them, and there was still Shang Santian and the Huang family behind him. Just thinking about it was shocking. Yang Tian could not help but look at Yi Chen as he thought to this point, Old Yi. Things had exceeded his imagination. Initially, he thought it was just a few people with unknown backgrounds who wanted to extort him. He did not expect the other party to have such a powerful background. Even Lin Tai's expression gradually turned grim. Mad Southern Yi, You're able to cultivate to such a level in the secular world at such a young age. You're even able to kill Huang Yan. This is enough to prove that your talent is shocking. Duan Hong saw their expressions and became more and more pleased with himself. However, you're nothing in front of Shang Santian. If you're smart, you should kneel down and apologize to us now. When the Huang family enters the world, perhaps we'll plead on your behalf and spare your worthless life. That's right. You're the most powerful person in China after all. I'm sure you're worth a lot. You still have to give us another 18 billion. The woman in the turquoise dress smiled faintly. Her eyes were cold. Yichen did not answer their question. Have you guys heard of the 10,000 Swords Pavilion? The reason Yichen asked this question was that someone had taken Yi Wushuang away when his sword was shattered. The person claimed to be from the 10,000 Swords Pavilion and even asked Yichen to look for Yi Wushuang at the 10,000 Swords Pavilion in the future. Later on, he met Shi Qianhan from the 10,000 Swords Pavilion on his way back to the mainland from Korea. According to the people who were chasing after Shi Qianhan, the 10,000 Swords Pavilion was destroyed by the Shao family of Shang Santian. Then Wu Shuang. Why are you asking this? Duan Hong and the woman in the turquoise dress revealed fearful expressions, as if they had been asked something that they should not have asked. I'm curious. Yichen chuckled softly and said, if I really submit to you guys, and if Shang Santian really enters the world, I'll have to find a backer, right? I heard that the 10,000 Swords Pavilion is quite powerful, so as soon as he finished speaking, Duan Hong and the woman in the turquoise dress immediately revealed enlightened expressions. At least you know your limits. Duan Hong smirked coldly and said, however, don't hold any hope for the 10,000 Swords Pavilion because it's already been destroyed. Not a single person from the entire 10,000 Swords Pavilion survived. Is that so? Yi Chen's heart skipped a beat. He knew that he was lying, so he could not help but ask, I saw a white-haired young man with the surname Shi before. He claimed to be the successor of the 10,000 Swords Pavilion. Is he a liar? You know that demon, Shi Qianhan? Duan Hong's expression changed. Shi Qianhan is indeed the successor of the 10,000 Swords Pavilion. However, he betrayed the 10,000 Swords Pavilion decades ago for a woman. The woman in the turquoise dress sneered. He has the Netherworld token in his hands. It's fine if he doesn't find a place to hide it, but he actually took the initiative to return to Shang Santian. She could not help but look at Yi Chun as she spoke to this point. She reacted immediately. Duan Hong, don't tell him anymore. This guy is trying to trick us. Yi, how dare you trick us? Duan Hong also reacted and flew into a rage. Congratulations, you're right. Yichen shook his head lightly, as if he felt regretful. It's a pity that there's no reward. As compensation, I'll send you guys to look for Huang Yan below. It'll be good company on the road to hell. You're courting death. I'll kill you. Duan Hong roared. At the same time, the energy on his body erupted. The powerful energy was like a wave, causing ripples in the surrounding space. A sharp howl came from his mouth. It did not sound like a human's voice. Instead, it sounded like a ferocious bird. At the next moment, his palm turned into a claw, and a thick demonic and sharp aura appeared on his 5 fingers. I'll cripple your cultivation first, then break your limbs. His expression was as ferocious as a ghost. His aura suddenly changed, becoming powerful and overbearing. Subsequently, he grabbed Yi Chen's throat, not hiding the killing intent on his face at all. How would dare a mere lackey from Shang Santian attack me? Yi Chen scoffed coldly. He extended his hand and grabbed at the air around him. He twisted his fingers into a saber and slashed at Duan Hong. All of a sudden, the saber gleam that was 3 meters long caused the woman in the turquoise dress to close her eyes subconsciously. When she opened her eyes, she heard a scream. She looked again. Duan Hong's right hand that he extended was severed by Yi Chen's saber on the spot. His face was extremely pale, and there was deep fear and disbelief in his eyes. Cursin, quick, attack with me. He roared continuously. Yi Chen's ability had refreshed his understanding once again. He did not expect the illusory demon claw that he had unleashed to be severed by Yi Chen with a single slash. One must know that the illusory demon claw was the Duan family's mysterious grade martial technique. It was not something that Huang Yan's yellow grade martial technique, the Tombi fist, could compare to. However, the woman in the turquoise dress rushed towards the exit of the casino like a gust of wind. She disappeared without a trace in the blink of an eye, as if she did not hear him. Bleck! Duan Hong spat a mouthful of blood when he saw that. He could not help but widen his eyes when he saw Yi Chun charging at him again. Mad Southern Yi, how dare you kill me? In the next second, a head rolled onto the ground. Yang Tian and Lin Tai were so shocked that they could not say a word. He was too powerful. You guys stay here. I'll be back after I kill someone. Before they could react, Yi Chun leaped out of the casino after saying that. He chased after the woman in the turquoise dress. Since he had offended her, there was no need to show mercy. Since he had killed her, he would kill to his heart's content. Chapter 565. Winter was approaching. Lin City, which was at a higher altitude, had already welcomed winter. At night, the temperature plummeted, coupled with a wanton autumn wind. It was like a blade cutting one's face. Therefore, countless office workers would shrink their heads and speed up their footsteps after work, wanting to go home earlier. However, on a street near the outskirts of Lin City, there was a woman in a jade-green dress running wildly on the street at this moment. Every time the woman took a step, she would use the force to leap more than 10 meters away, as if there was a catapult under her feet. Countless passers-by stopped in their tracks and watched the scene in shock. Clearly, the woman's movements had exceeded their understanding. Is this a movie? It doesn't look like it. I don't see any wires or crew members. Get lost. Facing the crowd's discussion, the woman in the jade-green dress suddenly waved her hand. A majestic true energy surged out of her sleeve, immediately sending many passers-by in front of her flying. It's not a movie. It's true. The woman ignored the crowd's shock and ran towards the suburbs with all her might with her true energy. Her beautiful face was filled with fear. How can he be so powerful? How can he be so powerful? Duan Kersen's eyes were filled with shock. She and Duan Hong had entered the world this time to prepare for Shang Santian to enter the world. Naturally, they needed a lot of money. Therefore, as soon as they appeared, they relied on their martial arts to plunder in the secular world. That was why they extorted 1 billion from Lin Tai. After all, to them, the so-called cultivators in the secular world were vulgar people who did not have a complete system. They were at their mercy. Who would have thought that Yi Chun would kill Huang Yin so easily as soon as he appeared? Even Duan Hong, who was the most powerful among the three of them, could not escape from him. One had to know that Huang Yin was a martial artist at the beginning of the innate stage. His strength was equivalent to a peak martial Dao master in the secular world. Coupled with the 5 Echoes arm fist, even she was not his match. However, he was killed by Yi Chun within 2 moves. The entire process was as fast as lightning. And Duan Hong, he's an ancient martial artist at the innate stage. He's the most powerful among the three of us. With my Duan family's martial technique, the illusory demon claw, we can even fight a martial artist at the innate stage, but Duan Kersen's face turned pale at the thought of this. The Chinese cultivation system originated from Shang Santian. In the eyes of Shang Santian, there was no such thing as inner force, meridian, or martial Dao master. They were only acquired and innate. The Xiantian realm was equivalent to the martial masters in the secular world. The Xiantian realm was further divided into 5 minor realms, namely minute subtlety, first glimpse, advanced, mysterious, and perfected. Above perfected was the martial venerable realm. In their opinion, the combat strength of the so-called peak martial Dao grandmasters in the secular world was at most equivalent to the initial glimpse of the innate stage. They were still far away from the true peak innate stage. Damn it, Mad Southern Yi is just a person from the secular world. How can he have such powerful combat strength? If I didn't escape decisively, I'm afraid I would have. Duan Kersen's eyes were filled with fear. She kept walking. Run, I have to run. I have to run to find Duan Peng. He's in Beijing. As long as he makes a move, Mad Southern Yi will definitely die. At this moment, her footsteps came to a halt. She looked at the rooftop of a villa district 100 steps away, and her face suddenly paled. He saw a skinny figure standing proudly with his hands behind his back, looking at him quietly. Duan Kursin shuddered immediately. Mad Southern Yi. Yichen had caught up so quickly. Did that mean that Duan Hong? In the next second, Yichun leaped down from the tall building and walked over slowly with his hand behind his back. Mad Southern Yi, let me go. Duan Kursin pleaded. There's no deep hatred between us. You don't have to kill me. As long as you don't kill me, I can give you anything, including the money we stole and even my body. Yichen did not slow down as if he did not hear her. If you want me to die, you'll have to die with me. Duan Kursin's face turned pale, and madness flashed through her eyes. She took out a medicinal pill and swallowed it. She said hysterically, "Let's die together. Let's die together." Subsequently, her body aged rapidly, and her skin shriveled quickly. In the blink of an eye, she was as dry as a mummy. At the same time, an aura that was even more powerful than before erupted from her body. The aura filled heaven and earth without hiding it at all. It caused the air to explode. Is that the demonic life reduction pill? Yichen squinted slightly. He had seen Shin Tianan and Lei Feihu's change in Duan Kursin before. She consumed a forbidden pill and used all of her vitality in exchange for an explosive increase in power. So what? You'll still die. He scoffed and turned his fingers into a saber, charging directly. Two earth-shattering battles broke out on the spot. Chaotic and powerful energy spread within a radius of 1 mile. At the same time, the duo fought in a villa a kilometer away. The Gu family welcomed 2 big shots that night. To show their respect, old Master Gu even led the Gu family's upper echelons out to welcome them. In the Gu family's living room, old Master Gu sat upright and lifted his eyes to look at the man and woman before him with respect. Both of them were dressed in ancient clothes and were no older than 30 years old. The leading lady wore a white dress. She looked stunning, but she had an extremely cold aura. Meanwhile, there was a rather handsome young man in ancient clothes behind her. There was a faint arrogance in the young man's eyes when he looked at the people from the Gu family. At that moment, Gu Yingying served the tea that she had brewed. A smile appeared on the lady in the white dress's cold face. You must be Yingying, right? I can't believe that you've grown so much after not seeing you for almost 20 years. Little girl, this is your auntie, Ouyang Qing. She carried you when you were young, but you were only a few years old back then, so you don't have much of an impression, old Master Gu said while smiling lightly. Auntie, Gu Yingying called out and stood aside. Her beautiful eyes could not help but take a good look at the lady in the white dress and the young man in ancient clothes next to her. Old Master Gu said while smiling, Xiaoqing, from what I know, haven't you been to that place for almost 20 years? Why are you back all of a sudden? Old Master Gu's face was filled with respect when he mentioned that place. In his impression, it was extremely difficult to enter that place, and it was even more difficult to get out. Uncle, I came out this time to do something for the family and recruit some talent from the secular world, Ouyang Qing said. If you're talking about talents, I do know someone. Old Master Gu laughed out loud. Gu Yingying's eyes lit up. Grandpa, could it be Mr. Yi? Who's Mr. Yi? Ouyang Qing was instantly interested. Chapter 566. Old Master Gu said slowly. He's a legend in China's cultivation world. He became a #1 in China at the age of 30. He's never tasted defeat since he debuted. The #1 in China? Ouyang Qing shook her head slightly. She did not care. That's right, Auntie. Gu Yingying could not help but say, Mr. Yi is very powerful. I think he can definitely join that whatever family of yours. Her eyes were filled with admiration when she said that. Old Master Gu nodded immediately. To him, Yi Chan was already a legend in China. He had the right to enter the place where Ouyang Qing was. My Du family is not a place where just anyone can enter. At that moment, the young man in the ancient costume next to Ouyang Qing suddenly said, Our Du family recruits talents based on talent and aptitude, not combat strength. The so-called #1 in China in your eyes is someone that we can suppress with a raise of our hand in Shang Santian. Old Master Gu frowned slightly when he heard that. Gu Yingying's heart skipped a beat. Just when she was about to say something, Ouyang Qing said, "Uncle, Yingying, Du Ming is right. The Du family has strict requirements for recruiting talents. As for Mr. Yi, I can meet him if I have the time, but I can't guarantee if he's qualified." Of course. Old Master Gu shook his head with a smile. Gu Yingying pouted and mumbled, "If Mr. Yi isn't qualified to join your Du family, I'm afraid no one in this world can." Her voice was neither loud nor soft, but every single word was heard by Ouyang Qing and Du Ming. Ouyang Qing did not know whether to laugh or cry. Du Ming secretly smirked. Just when he was about to say something, he suddenly felt a shocking power coming from outside. Are there powerhouses fighting? Who can have such power? Du Ming and Ouyang Qing looked at each other with serious eyes. At the next moment, the two of them swept up a gust of wind and arrived at the Gu family villa. They looked down at the two figures fighting in the distance. At that moment, the battle between Yi Chun and Duan Kursin, who had consumed the demonic life reduction pill, had reached its climax. It had to be said, this group of martial artists from Shang Santian could crush the martial artists in the secular world in terms of vitality, combat experience, and control of power. Huang Yin was the same. It was the same for Duan Kursin. However, compared to Huang Yin, Duan Kursin's ability was much more violent. Perhaps it was because she had consumed forbidden medicine, she fought fearlessly. Clearly, she wanted to drag Yi Chen down with her. Die. Duan Kursin spat blood continuously from her mouth, but the face in her eyes was ferocious. After being pushed back by Yi Chen's punch, she roared and more true energy surged out. In the end, a small mountain condensed in her palm. The small mountain was as huge as a car. It charged at Yi Chen's head. The ground cracked wherever the small mountain passed, and the air exploded. It's the Duan family's 9th peak. In the distance, Du Ming couldn't help but be shocked when he saw this. The 9th mountain, the Duan family's martial skill, and it was a profound rank 1 at that. The profoundness of the martial technique was to mobilize the vital energy in one's body and transform it into a mountain peak. Upon mastery, one could condense 9 mountain peaks at the same time to suppress everything. The size of the mountain peaks depended on the strength of the caster and their proficiency in the martial technique. Duan Kursin, on the other hand, was using the first 9 mountains. Why would someone use the Duan family's 9th peak here? Could it be that one of the people fighting is from the Duan family? Ouyang Qing, who was standing aside, inhaled slightly. Du Ming's eyes were fixed on the battle in the distance. His eyes flickered nonstop. I'm more curious about who exactly is fighting the Duan family. The Duan family was not considered a wealthy family in Shang Santian. However, in the secular world, they were unstoppable. You'll die a worthy death since you forced me to use the 9th peak. Haha, let's die together. Duan Kursin laughed maniacally after activating the small mountain to suppress Yi Chun. She spat blood as she laughed. Child's play. Yi Chun scoffed. Instead of retreating, he advanced and took the initiative to charge at the small mountain that was charging at him. Subsequently, he threw a punch overbearingly. There was no magical power fluctuation in that punch. It looked like he was going to fight the small mountain with his body. Duan Kursin, Du Ming, and the rest scoffed when they saw that. Meanwhile, Du Ming and Ouyang Qing shook their heads lightly. However, in the next moment, their expressions froze one after another. It was because when Yi Chen's fist landed on the small mountain, his body did not collapse as they had imagined. Instead, the small mountain that Duan Kursin condensed with all her might exploded with a bang from Yi Chen's punch. It turned into dust that scattered everywhere. Du Ming and Ouyang Qing could not help but look shocked. Duan Kursin's face was filled with disbelief. At the next moment, a fist ruthlessly smashed into her body. Pooh! A streak of scarlet blood splattered into the sky. Duan Kursin's body shot toward Du Ming and the rest like a ragged sack. Eventually, she landed hard on the ground. It's Duan Kursin from the Duan family. At that moment, Du Ming and Ouyang Qing recognized her at the same time. Yi Chen charged at Duan Kersen again. Du Ming leaped and stood before Duan Kersen. He said coldly, "Who are you? How dare you bully the Duan family?" Du Ming, kill him. Kill him. Duan Kersen roared venomously as if she had seen her savior. He's not from Shang Santian. He killed Huang Yin and Duan Hong. Both of them were shocked when they heard that. Haven't you thought about the consequences of killing people from Shang Santian consecutively? Du Ming's eyes flickered as he looked at Yi Chen. Get lost. Yi Chen's response was a shout from Yi Chen. In the next second, a bloody hole appeared on Duan Kersen's forehead. Blood flowed out of the hole, and her body fell to the ground completely. Her eyes were wide open as if she had died with a grievance. When they saw that, Du Ming and Ouyang Qing were stunned on the spot. A few seconds later, a furious voice was heard. How dare you kill someone in front of me? Du Ming stared at Yi Chen with an extremely grim expression. The energy in his hands that were behind his back was getting more and more intense. It was almost boiling. However, Yi Chen only glanced at him coldly. He turned around and was about to leave. You still want to leave after killing someone? Stay here. His disregard caused Du Ming's expression to turn even more unsightly. Then, he stretched out his hand behind his back, and a powerful force suddenly erupted from his hand. Stop! At that moment, an old voice was heard. Old Master Gu rushed over from afar and happened to block Du Ming's path. He said, Mr. Du, Mr. Yi, don't be rash. Ouyang Qing's pretty face changed slightly as soon as he said that. She looked at Yi Chen suddenly. What? He's Mr. Yi? P.S. There's still one more chapter. I'm writing it now. Chapter 567. Is he the Mr. Yi that you mentioned earlier? Hearing what old Master Gu said, Du Ming's gaze at Yi Chen changed slightly. There was more shock in his eyes. He knew Duan Hong, Huang Yin, and Duan Kersen's abilities. Although they were not comparable to him, the three of them came from Shang Santian. Yet, they were killed by a martial artist from the secular world. If this were to spread back to Shang Santian, it would definitely cause a stir. Old Master Gu nodded slightly and lowered his head to look at Duan Kersen's corpse. His pupils constricted slightly. Subsequently, he walked to Yi Chen quickly and said while clasping his fists, Mr. Yi, what are you? He had no idea what had happened. However, he did not want Yi Chen to have any conflict with Du Ming and the rest. Du Ming and Ouyang Qing's background was too shocking. If they were angered, the consequences would be unimaginable. Meanwhile, Ouyang Qing took a good look at Yi Chen. When old Master Gu introduced Yi Chen earlier, she did not care much about the so-called China No. 1. After all, she was born in Shang Santian, so she had the pride. However, she believed old Master Gu after seeing Yi Chen kill Duan Kersen with her own eyes. He was quite capable. However, he had gotten himself into big trouble. That's right. This person extorted me. He deserved to die. Yi Chen's expression was cold. Subsequently, he told him what happened slowly. Looks like it's a misunderstanding. Old Master Gu was both shocked and flustered after hearing that. He could only help Yi Chen out by instinct. After all, Yi Chen had already offended the Huang family and the Duan family. He could not offend the Du family too. Misunderstanding? Du Ming scoffed. You kill Huang Yin, Duan Hong, and Duan Kersen. How can a mere misunderstanding be cleared up? However, Yi Chen lifted his eyes slowly. Oh, what are you going to do? Du Ming shook his head slightly, a sympathetic smile appearing at the corner of his lips. Don't worry, I won't attack you because you're already a dead man in my eyes. He paused for a moment, and his gaze was extremely mischievous because the Duan family and the Huang family won't let you go. Shang Santian is preparing to enter the world. Duan Kersen and the rest are only here to pave the way. When Shang Santian comes out, no one in China will be able to protect you. Old Man Gu was shocked when he heard that. He couldn't help but look at Ouyang Qing. Xiao Qing, this is really a misunderstanding. Can you see if there's any room for reconciliation? No. To his surprise, Ouyang Qing shook her head without even thinking about it. She looked at Yi Chen with slight regret. You shouldn't have killed Duan Hong and the rest. So, are you saying that I should give them the 1 billion yuan? A mocking smirk appeared at the corner of Yi Chen's lips. Of course. Ouyang Qing nodded in agreement. You're lucky that they're able to extort you. After all, spending 1 billion to please 2 ancient martial arts families in Shang Santian is a good deal for anyone. I know you'll feel uncomfortable after hearing what I have to say, and you'll ask why. Unfortunately, this is the reality. At this point, she continued, however, you attack them for 1 billion yuan. It's extremely stupid. In the future, you won't be able to protect yourself even if you spend 10 billion yuan. Xiaoqing, is there really no other way? Old man Gu smiled bitterly. I'm sorry, uncle. Ouyang Qing shook her head lightly and said firmly, I admit that he has some talent. If it were any other time, I might recommend him to join the Du family. However, it's impossible now. No one can protect him. It's not that there's no other way. At that moment, Du Ming suddenly smiled and looked at Yi Chun. Since you're the so-called China #1, I'm sure you're extraordinary. I want you to help my Du family find 2 people. As long as you help my Du family find these 2 people, not only will my Du family protect your life, but we can even let you join the Du family and obtain countless cultivation resources. As soon as that was said, Ouyang Qing's pretty face changed slightly, and she secretly sighed. On the other hand, old man Gu saw hope. I wonder who you're looking for, Mr. Du. Perhaps our Gu family can lend a hand. Du Ming glanced at Yi Chun and said calmly, they're a little girl and a lunatic. The little girl is about 5 or 6 years old, and her name is Qianqian. She's sick, and she forgets something every once in a while. The lunatic is an old man who talks crazy all day long. As soon as he said that, Yi Chen's calm expression changed slightly. Qianqian. Old man Gu frowned. He seemed to be thinking about the 2 of them. Yi Chen said calmly, why are you guys looking for these 2 people? Why are you asking so many questions? You just have to do as I say. Du Ming smirked coldly and said, I've already given you the chance. Whether you live or die is up to you. Ouyang Qing nodded slightly. This is your only chance to live. No need. Yi Chun smiled lightly. Yi Chun, only believe in myself when I do things. I never place my hopes on others. Moreover, to me, the Huang family and Duan family that you guys speak of are just a matter of killing them with a single strike of my sword. After saying that, he turned around and left. You're courting death. I like to see what happens to you. Du Ming watched him leave with a grim expression. Subsequently, he turned around and walked toward the Gu family villa. Ouyang Qing secretly shook her head as she looked in the direction where Yi Chun had disappeared. What a pity. Do you really think that you have the strength to fight against Shang Santian just because you killed Duan Hong, Huang Yin, and the rest? You're wrong. Emir Duan Hong is nothing in Shang Santian. Thinking to this point, she immediately followed Du Ming and looked at old man Gu, who was at the back. Her lips moved slightly as she said, Du Ming, why did you reveal our true purpose to him? You don't understand. Du Ming shook his head slightly as his eyes flickered. The ghost ship is about to appear. Everyone is determined to obtain it. Rumor has it that whoever can board the ghost ship and escape unscathed will be able to control the situation in Shang Santian. At this point, he took a deep breath in. The ghost ship is extremely dangerous. Over the past few decades, too many powerhouses have entered. Other than that little girl and the old lunatic, no one else has come out. They don't know if they're dead or alive. In other words, that little girl and the old lunatic are the only people who have walked out of the ghost ship alive in the past few decades. So everyone wants to obtain some secrets from them? Ouyang Qing seemed to understand. Not all of them. Du Ming smirked coldly. For example, that lunatic Shi Qianhan went to the ghost ship to see a dead person. He was crippled by a female corpse. Hearing Shi Qianhan's name, a hint of admiration flashed across Ouyang Qing's eyes. This was a person who had fallen into the demonic path for love and betrayed the sect. He was a devil in the eyes of others. At the same time, he was a hot-blooded man who dared to kill his way into the Shao family alone for his loved ones. As soon as Yi Chun returned to the casino, He saw a young and beautiful woman crying nonstop at a 15 or 16-year-old young man. The young man in front of her looked impatient and vicious. As soon as he saw Yi Chun, before Lin Tai and Yang Tian could welcome him, they saw the young man run to Yi Chun quickly. Subsequently, he knelt heavily. "Master, please accept my bow."